uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Monday night edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports in the Hub. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. How do we start off this show as we always do on the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, of course, my co-host, professional handicapper extraordinaire, Harry the Greek, of 1252 Chicago Sports, and then a broadcasting legend in the Tampa Bay area, Mr. Rock Riley of the Tampa Free Press. Of course, the Rock Stops Here podcast, longtime radio guy, longtime TV guy, and then, of course, as always, your phone calls, because plenty of rumors going on with Tom Brady once again. Say it isn't so. Like I always say, this is the most wonderful time of the year. We should have a Tom Brady day, because every other day or every other year, it's always Tom Brady is coming back. So definitely want to hear from you tonight. Get your comments out there. You have all kinds of ways to do that. Definitely hit up the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Plenty of quarterback movement. I want to get Rock on here because he was in Indianapolis for the Combine. He did get the lowdown on what's going on with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's go out to my co-host. Let's get his walk-up music on. Here we go. Mr. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, little brother. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, doing great. Some sadness, which we're going to get back to in a moment, but long time at Rays Radio, play-by-play man, just a good guy. I met him once. Dave Wills passed away unexpectedly yesterday at 58 years old. I know you got a chance to meet him and talk to him. Give me your thoughts on the passing of Dave Wills.
Well, I got to tell you, man, it was one of the hardest phone calls that I had to make. I had to call some of the people up in Chicago that his original colleagues. Shout out to Dave Schuster and Fred Hubner and a few others that were up there. They were very saddened. And again, I'm really sorry for. I mean, I didn't know him like they did. The only real experience that I had was when Fred Hubner, Chicago's very own, was retiring. He was part of the 12 people that we had, and it looked like a huge Zoom meeting, and he was part of it. He was also getting to share some of the stories and some of the times that him and Fred had way back in the day, from the dial-up days when you wanted to dial a phone number to get your 30-second update or your 60-second updates on the scores of all the baseball games or the NBA games or whatever. It was a sports talk telephone. But I got to tell you, man, it was very sad to hear that. But I think Mr. Schuster said it best. He didn't suffer. I mean, he passed away in his sleep. But man, they lost a good one there.
And honestly, I feel bad because we were trying to get him on the Sports Web eventually, and I really wanted to talk to him. I met him once. He was very nice. I didn't even know the guy, and I felt like I knew the guy after the conversation. And of course, he was Rays Radio. I mean, when they made that call when they went to the World Series in 2008, that's what you heard. And it's always, and I'm not going to try to do an impression of him, but Rays win. I mean, you're never gonna.
I will tell you this: he did steal the Harry Carey. Okay, Rays win, Rays win, Rays win.
I love it, and I grew up on Harry Carey. So, I mean, for me, it made a perfect sense of why I would like him and love them.
He was a White Sox broadcaster first, just to throw that out there.
Well, Harry Carey was, and of course, Mr. Wills was. Absolutely. Let's go out to, again, this Tampa Bay broadcasting legend, Mr. Rock Riley. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And I got to start off with some sadness. I know that he was one of your friends, Dave Wills. Give me your thoughts here on the Sports Web.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him all the time. Last year, every game that I was there, we always busted chops on one another. He did my podcast, The Rock Stops Here, how he made it, and a really interesting story. He didn't want to leave Chicago. They had just had a house. They were all set. He got the call to interview for the Rays, and it's like, I'm already in with the White Sox. I'm doing pre and post. I love it here, this and that. And he took a chance, and here he was partnered up with his partner, Andy Fried. They went out to lunch, and they were on the air, and they became best friends. And I mean best friends. I was at the Trop today, and it was real eerie. It was, first of all, it's a spring training game, so it's kind of strange being inside a dome, and there's hardly anybody there. But it was just eerie. And I was talking to Doug Wechter. He's on the Rays broadcast team. He used to be a pitcher in Major League Baseball. And he was like, I never saw Dave without Andy. I never saw Andy without Dave. It's true. For all the years that they worked together, when it was time to eat in the dining hall, they were there. They sat on the same two seats like on the plane. There's a lot of broadcasters that, you work a lot of hours. And when they would talk, not when it wasn't a game, it was about movies. It was jokes. It was music. It was everything but sports or baseball, because they said they get their fill of talking baseball all the time. So he was appreciative of the job that he had. He said, I've never worked a day in my life because I've been able to do this. And then Andy, I can't imagine it. Andy was heading over today to be at the with the family tonight. They're making the arrangements. I went upstairs. I was just going to give my condolences to the guys with the radio broadcast, and they actually had, the lights were off. They actually closed the door so you couldn't see where he was sitting, because Andy said he did a spring training game the day before, and he did it just like it was normal. Everything was fine. It was one of those things when it comes as such a shock. So I don't even know how he's going to make it through. I mean, this was his partner so many years, man, and they got along. So rest in peace. And like you said, Mr. Berg there, at least he didn't suffer. You know what I mean? We'll try to look at it like that,
I'm just going to be sharing your link, Peter. You're going to have someone join us here in a few seconds. When you see him in the back, please go ahead and bring it in. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Sometimes we do things that are unscripted, but this was a pretty damn good friend of his, and it is a part of Chicago in his past. Again, that was... It was such a difficult phone call to have to make. It was just unreal. I mean, I don't know, Rock. Do you know Fred Hubner by chance?
I know of him.
Okay.
I know of
Mike
him.
North and David Schuster and everybody else.
Of course. Those are
very
the standards in Chicago. Yeah.
Well, a little surprise. You might be getting Mr. Schuster on here in just a few minutes, Pete.
Well, I love that. And, again, I feel like, these are the voices, and I'm just going to put Rock on the spot. I watched Rock. I was inspired by Rock because he took phone calls. It was the Sports Connection. It was on Bay News 9, a.k.a. Bright House Sports.
That's where I know Rock Riley from.
I watched that
oh, my God.
every night. I also grew up on Ted Webb on the Sports Wrap.
The Sports Wrap.
I'm aging myself. So,
You want to hear aging yourself? Hey, this is aging yourself, guys. Dial a phone number, not with this thing. It was with that wall thing, okay? It was 937-1100 in Chicago, but you had to hit 312, okay? And then you get the 60-second sports update. Do you understand that Dave Kaplan, Mike North, not Mike North, my apologies. I'll let Fred tell that part of the story, but they were all part of the Sports Connection, buddy. It was all off a telephone line. You used to be able to dial a phone number in Chicago and get the weather. Who the hell would want the weather in the middle of the winter? Hey, it's cold.
Right.
We're going to get 2 feet of snow.
I definitely want to get out to this gentleman right here, Mr. David Schuster here.
Oh,
Chicago,
my God. Shoot.
Himself. I know you have some words to say about Mr. Dave Wills. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I hate talking about this subject in past tense, I guess, in the news yesterday. And actually, it was Harry who called me yesterday morning. It floored me. It just absolutely floored me. I knew that Dave had some heart issues previous, but still, I think it floored everybody, to be perfectly honest with you, because he had just done the game, the day before, or actually the day of yesterday. I don't know. The whole thing is still very shocking to me. But yeah, I knew Dave for a long, long time. I worked with him at Sports Phone originally. That's how I met, and I could give you a whole encyclopedia on the 976 numbers because I was there probably longer than anybody. But I worked with Dave there, and then we did local radio together, and honestly, guys, we played ball together. Dave was a heck of a baseball player. He played at Triton College, and then after that, we played softball together for years. He was a heck of a power-hitting left-handed hitter. Boy, I'll tell you what, I would get on base in front of him, and then he would knock me home. I didn't even have to run the bases. He would just put it over the fence. So
seriously,
I mean, such a good guy. And honestly, guys, it hurts. It just hurts.
You know what, David? I think when I was last year, I did a whole in-depth podcast just on him, and he actually did some college baseball coaching. And I think he said it was actually as a pitching coach. It wasn't for long. And then because he had already been in at an early age, getting his feet wet in broadcasting. And then, of course, he was with the White Sox organization. But I think he even did some coaching. So, no. And now and then he would mention, my days of playing, but not too much because you know how it goes. If you're doing a major league game and you really didn't play in the majors, then you don't want to hit on it too much. So he was pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he was actually. I mean, I didn't see him play baseball. I played softball with him. Okay. But I know he played at Triton College. I think he did pitch, if I'm not mistaken, and play either first base or outfield when he wasn't pitching in Triton College. Which is a pretty good baseball factory. I mean, there was some other really good players over the years who played there who might have even ended up in the major league. So, yeah, Dave was a good ball player. Dave could drink like almost better than anybody too.
That's good. That's the kind of stories I want to hear. Yes,
because Mr. Schuster's had to put a couple back with them back in the day.
But I couldn't keep up with him and some of the other guys that we played ball with. I was a lightweight compared to them.
Was he ever part of the Chicago Bulls like you were, Dave, or was that strictly your forte?
No, Dave was more. Well, Dave worked at UIC. He did some color commentary, or no, he did play-by-play. Excuse me, of UIC basketball. But he wasn't really on the Bulls scene like I was. I mean, I was a junkie for the NBA, so I've been doing that for years and years and years. But Dave did do play-by-play for UIC basketball. I know he did that, and some other stuff also. But he's such a well-rounded guy, and we had fun. I mean, I had Dave on some podcasts, and I was doing those last year. And I remember one of them I had on. One time we had him on was to do a memorial for Les Grobstein.
That's right, Les.
Another famous figure from Chicago who unfortunately passed away way too early, about a year plus ago now. And Dave was on. It was kind enough to give time out of his busy schedule to come on. I mean, we were such a close camaraderie. And Sports Phone starting back then, a lot of us started at that, and it was like a breeding ground, if you will, for the next step into local radio or TV. And a lot of guys started both here and also in New York, who went on to bigger and better things. But it was such a good camaraderie, and like I said, we drank, we played baseball, we probably chased girls too, for all I remember.
When he mentioned Les Grobstein, for those of you that don't know who Les Grobstein is, Les Grobstein, and you can go full screen to David because he'll tell you, you will never find a guy that was a savant about sports, especially if I'm not mistaken, it was the Chicago Bulls, wasn't it?
It was everything.
It was everything. You could ask him, what on third down in this particular game in the fourth quarter, can you tell me something that magical happened, say the Bears against the Jets? And he's going to tell you, this happened. I mean, the guy was just absolutely, it was like a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah.
David, share a story because this is good.
Well, I equated Les to the character that Dustin Hoffman played in the movie Rain Man. I mean, he was Rain Man. He had this encyclopedia knowledge of sports. I don't think, I would sit next to him in press boxes and make fun of him because I really sometimes don't think he knew what he was talking about the game in front of us, but a game from 35, 40 years ago, he could probably recite you what the weather was. That's how he was about stuff like that and come up with all these trivia stuff. So, yeah, again, Les was part of the scene and Dave, of course, was part of the scene. And, you know, to cover sports, you know, so close quarters with everybody else, you made fun of each other. That's what friends do with each other all the time. And Dave was certainly part of that scene.
I gotta throw this question out at all of you guys on the panel right now. We're on with, of course, Mr. David Schuster here, Chicago sports legend himself, broadcasting legend. We got Mr. Rock Riley, Tampa Bay broadcasting legend. Of course, yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. It's the Sports Web. Shu, besides Pat Hughes, was there a better radio play-by-play announcer than Dave Wills? He was fantastic. I'll go to you, Schuster, and then come out to you, Rock.
Oh, absolutely. He was one of the top notch. I knew him only a little bit doing play-by-play here locally for UIC. And then, of course, originally he started, what's the franchise out in I'm terrible right now.
Kane County
Cougars, which I think was a Baltimore Orioles team at that time, I think. Anyway, that's where Dave started. Then we worked together. He did the pre and post for the White Sox games. I was the reporter. So, I saw him at the ballpark, of course, all the time doing that. And then, of course, he graduated, bless his heart. He got the dream job down in Tampa and ran with that for the 15 or 16 years that 18, he did that. And he was so great. Now, here in Chicago, I think we've all been very blessed here locally to have some of the great play-by-play announcers of all time, characters, Harry Carey, just to name one, Pat Hughes, of course, and I worked with Pat for years and years on Cubs broadcast, unbelievably good, and so many others. I mean, Pat Foley in hockey, you can go back further in time. Jim Durham was the Bulls announcer when I first broke into the business. Hawk Harrelson, different.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Definitely different, but a character, of course.
Yeah, but you know what? He's married to a Greek. I mean, how can you not respect the guy that's married to a Greek? Okay, come on.
I got to go out to Rock. Any better play-by-play man than Dave?
No, I mean, a lot of markets have some good ones. The thing about Dave is, he was honest. He wasn't a big homer, but he would be honest. He would be truthful. And I'll tell you what, when he first got down here, he was still on that path, but he was the play-by-play. And I think they're the only team in Major League Baseball that they're both play-by-play and they're both color analysts. They just switch. They do a couple of innings. He'll do some play-by-play. Then Andy does play-by-play. He does color. It's always a former player. So it makes it very, very unusual. They have no egos, and this guy's getting more time than me. They were telling me stories that there's a lot of guys with some big egos in this business. They didn't have that. And one other thing, when he got down here and he told me in the offseason, he got a call to do some play-by-play for college basketball. And a lot of play-by-play baseball guys, they have a long off season. They'll do some basketball. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to take away. I have a gig doing Major League Baseball. I get enough games. I don't want to take away from some other broadcaster that's trying to make a living and maybe basketball is his thing. And so, you know what I'm not going to do? And he never did. He got calls. He got offers. He's like, nope, give it to somebody else. Not a lot of guys in this business will do that.
Wow, Dave, that's pretty interesting, huh?
And if I can add to what Rock just said, another reason why he probably didn't want to do that is because he wanted to spend time on the home front. Because listen,
Yes.
when you're a major league play-by-play guy, you're on the road for God knows how many months during the season. And Tampa, to their credit, was always playing deep into the season, so he had even a longer season than most people. But he wanted to spend time with his family, with his wife, with his offspring. And I got to bring that up also. I mean, Dave was such a down-to-earth kind of guy. Yeah, Rock is right. Some of these guys, their egos are so up high here that they're nauseous. Boy, he was the ultimate people person. You could meet Dave Wills and instantly be a friend of his for life. That's the way he was. He just made you feel comfortable. I know he did that to me forever.
Nice. Good stuff.
That's
David,
cool.
Thanks a lot for coming on with us. Any final thoughts here on the Sports Web, my friend?
You know, in regards to Dave, I'm just shocked. It's way, way, way too young. And you know, listen, I think he'd be the first to say, live life, because you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. So give a hug to those people that you love. Tell them that you love them, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So,
Amen.
you know, I'll miss him, but I'll remember him for the rest of my life.
Thank you, David. David
Oh,
Schuster
sir.
here, Chicago sports broadcasting legend. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the Evolution of
Great
Sports.
writer. Great writer. You cannot stop. No, seriously. That's where those are his writing is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I always looked up this shoe. I mean, why not?
Thanks. The check's in the mail, Harry.
There you
Checks
go.
in the mail.
Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate you. There you go. David Schuster right there. Let's get back to it. I'll tell you what, I know we're talking about Dave Wills, and if you want to talk about it and you want to call in and share a memory, you can do that. We talk about the Rays on here. Predominantly, it's about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With that being said, I want to start out with this interview that you did with Jason Light at the Combine. Here we go. You talking to Jason Light about the plan in 2023 here on the Sports Web. Here we go.
I think in free agency this year, we've got some challenges ahead of us that we have a plan for to get under the cap, but we're going to be looking for value. So, and that goes for all positions for the most part.
All right, so let's come back here. I mean, pretty self-explanatory at the end of the day. I mean, it certainly seems like they have some cap trouble. Do you get the sense that they were kind of surprised, Rock, that Brady was going to retire? And did you think, like I did when he did retire, that they would spread that cap hit out? Because it certainly seems like they're just going to take the cap hit. They're going to basically call this year a wash, if you will, and just say, you know what, we're rebuilding to a certain degree. I mean, I know that Todd Bowles keeps on saying retooling, but it certainly seems from these comments that Jason Light is saying, you know what, we're not going to be spending that much. It's going to be a rebuild year. What do you say?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that he actually said that, because a lot of times they won't do that. The owners don't like them actually being honest like that, because they're trying to bring in the money. We went out to dinner with a sponsor that advertises with the Buccaneers organization, and he pays them $2.5 million a year. And he was telling us his deal, along with every other deal that anyone that does any kind of advertising or sponsorship deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that the contract calls for, if Brady is on the roster, it's 25% more. That's just it.
Wow.
So the Glazers are, number one, they were going to do everything, even if he was in a cane and 50 years old. That's how much he brings to the organization, that they were going to try to keep him. They kind of had a feeling, but they didn't know. And as the weeks were going on, I'm there every week, and I talk to the one person that really deals with Brady. He's the one guy that deals with Brady. And he told me in November, Brady honestly did not know at that time. Like, he still physically, he throws well. You see him at practice doing all his movements, this and that. But when you watch games, he can't move as quickly. He couldn't move anyway, but he couldn't get out of the way. His line wasn't giving him as much time. He was a half second faster getting rid of it this year than he was the year before. And the year before, he was number one in the NFL. Roethlisberger was number two. So he already was getting rid of it faster. And this year, because the line wasn't as good, he didn't trust him, he had to get rid of it even faster. So it was building up. And then he called them and he said that was it. He also did file the paperwork the other day. And I really will be, like you said, Peter, you never say never. He is living down there in Miami. The Miami Dolphins, my source in the Dolphins was telling me that, like, the NFL is watching this one very, very closely with Tua. They're all about the whole safety thing, especially with the head injuries. And if something comes up where Tua takes one more hit, or, medically that he's got to sit out, Brady is living there. He stays in shape. Maybe he would be able to come right through. But I honestly think that this was it. He made up his mind. And the other guy that I deal with the Bucs that knows Brady did tell him this, and this was in December.
Okay.
He was going to take his time because he didn't want to do what he did last year and flip-flop. He knew that was not a good look. His wife wanted him to retire. And not only that, Giselle could not stand Tampa. I've had athletes before tell me that, like, oh, my wife can't take it here. My wife can't take it here. Marty St. Louis, he was a Lightning player, a hockey player. His wife hated Tampa. So that's the things that a lot of the public don't see. When your wife is unhappy and they're constantly telling you, I can't stand living here, I can't stand living here, I can't stand living here. Oh my God. So there was an awful lot off the field with Brady this year, and I thought that this was it. We'll see. I honestly think that ship has sailed. It is time.
Well,
I got a question for Rock.
Yes, go ahead, and then we're going to get into
Please.
this rumor because this is from the Rich Eisen show.
We'll get into this, but Rock, full disclosure here, I am not a sports journalist. I am not a writer. I'm a prognosticator. Okay.
Got you.
And I've been a professional handicapper for well over 30 years, betting on sports professionally. But color me purple. This guy did not want to play for the organization last year. That was where the flip-flopping was coming from. And then there were contingencies, hence the reason why Bruce Arians wasn't your head coach anymore. Hence the reason why the running game was completely abandoned after game 2, because if you remember game 1 and 2, they were very competitive in those 2 games. It was very balanced. My question is this to you, Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the Glazers allow this to happen? Why did they allow one player, even though they brought a Super Bowl and he's the GOAT and the greatest of all time, why do you let one player hold your organization hostage? Why?
Because of the amount of money that he is bringing in to your organization. If you were owning the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you are making all this revenue, then you're going to allow Brady to do things that you wouldn't allow anybody else. It's because of all the money. I can tell you a little insight, and I think you're onto something there. It was really, really strange where I was at the NFL Combine last year. Bruce Arians comes out to do an interview with us. He did Jeff Darlington, ESPN, and there was about 6 of us from Tampa. And he's talking about Kyle Trask, and he's talking about Gabbert, and he's talking about building this team. And we even said, Bruce, you're 68 years old.
Yeah.
You've had the health issues. You don't have Brady. Brady was retired. Are you thinking about retiring? He's like, no, Jason and I like to be the underdogs and build a roster. We're like, okay. A couple of weeks later, we go to Palm Beach, the NFL owners meetings. We're upstairs waiting for Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians leaves. We asked the Buccaneers what happened, because no coaches leave. All the coaches get by the fountain. You've probably seen a picture, and then the Chiefs coach is wearing the shorts, and the coaches are all around there. They usually don't leave. Is it health? No, it's not health. Why did he leave? We didn't know. That was kind of strange. Now Brady comes back.
Yep.
Then we find out there's a press conference that Bruce Arians is stepping down. He's got, and he does want to always give his guys. He's a real loyal guy, man. He really is. And he didn't want to give Todd Bowles a chance. He's like, look, if I only won 9 games, I would be out, and they'll look for another coach, and he wouldn't be able to get this job. But there was something fishy, and to this day, we still don't really know. So, and then they're going to put him in the Ring of Honor. They're going to throw a little bone to Bruce Arians. Brady shows up. He was sitting right over there, and I'm here. Now it's time for question and answer. I raised my hand to Bruce. I said, Bruce, a couple of weeks ago, we're at the NFL Combine, and you were talking up Blaine Gabbert, but you were really talking up Kyle Trask. And Bruce goes, I had to at that time. So you don't know what is really, really, really the truth or not. Now, we also saw Joel Glazier at the NFL owners meetings at the big cocktail party. It's the only time of year where media, owners, billionaires, GMs, and coaches, everybody is partying at the same time. It only happens once a year. Mm-hmm. And we asked Joel Glazier, Joel, did Brady really talk with Stephen Ross on a boat in Miami? And you know what he said? He's like, you know what? He also told us I can't tell you everything, but there's a lot of different unscrupulous things that go on behind the scenes. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he said, honestly, I don't know, but all I know is We got him. We got him for this year. That's all I know. So I'm sure, Harry, there's a lot more to this story. But I will tell you this in closing on this long rant here on this, because I have this behind the scenes.
It's not a rant because you can bring us back. Sorry, Peter. I really wanted some clarity to this because a lot of people looked at me, Rock, like I had 3 heads. Look, I cannot be in this industry without having connections. Would you agree with that?
Of course.
I do have ties with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and a couple of other National Football League teams. Okay. And certain things I'm going to put out there. This I really shouldn't have put out there, but I mean, it's horrible what one person can do. Let me be very clear when I say this. I was not a fan of Michael Jordan when he had Coach Collins fired. Okay? I mean, but it worked in Chicago. Unfortunately, it didn't work here. Okay? And yes, you were right when you when you were talking about Coach Arians' health conditions and how his wife wanted him to be there.
Yes.
It's not just speculation. It's almost factual, because if it was truly he was getting out primarily because of his health, he never would have been part of that front office. And I'll tell you what, there's another former coach who I am also friends with that was a former coach. I'm sure you could put the 2 ties together, being a Chicago connection, that had a lot to say about this organization and the way they handle their management. That is why they can't keep players, sometimes for more than 2 years, and definitely coaches for no more than a couple of years. It's just you can't keep rinsing and repeating. My question is why did they let Brady do it? Because of this? Then I blame the Glaziers.
But I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yep.
That is what it comes down to. And you're also on it because, okay, Bruce Arians, it was, I don't know, Peter, remember when he came out and he said, actually, Tom has been playing bad. Nobody else is saying it. I'm going to say it.
Yep.
And I was told by someone that he hangs with Bruce Arians. Arians and Brady, that relationship, they really hated each other and all that, that was way blown out. Okay, that was blown out of the water on that. Mm-hmm. Would they disagree? Oh yeah. Would Arians even chew his ass out? Oh yeah. But when Arians found out that he was talking to Miami behind their back that offseason, oh God, did that not sit well with Arians? He thought that Brady was not loyal. He thought Brady was loyal to him, and that really ticked him off.
You know, I always felt like BA, and we're on with Rock Riley here. We got Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. I always thought when BA Rock was talking to the combine at the combine meeting, and somebody asked him about Brady trading him, and he said that was bad business, and basically it would cost some team 5 number ones. I felt like he wasn't talking to the teams. He was actually talking to Tom Brady personally.
You know, you're on to something there, Rock, because I'm going to tell you right now, former players have actually said, okay, that he is not going to be playing if he's on the sideline. He'd been in the league way too long to be yelled at anymore. So, yeah, there was a little bit of riff. I do think it kind of got blown out of proportion. But these were players, okay? These were players that were actually saying that about it. I'm going to stand on my soapbox. Okay. I'm very happy for what Tom Brady did in Tampa Bay, bringing a championship here, allowing other players to get in here, making sure they were getting under the cap. He's done a lot of good for the organization. But when one player tells you, Rock, I don't want to be here anymore, or you're going to dictate to the team, go away. Run off into the sunset.
Well, I was blown away. Peter, you probably were too. It was during training camp. Mm-hmm. They were going up against, it was the Titans were here, then the Miami Dolphins came in, those 2 days of practices. Correct. And then all of a sudden we were like, oh, it was Todd Bowles. He's like, by the way, Tom Brady's not going to be, Tom won't be talking today. And Tom's got a leave of absence. It was already approved. And then we talked to Jason Light, and he said, this is something we talked about. That was so strange, where he left for 11 days during training camp. And I know he's been in the league a long time. It's not a big thing. I know he went to Bob Kraft's. Bob Kraft got married real quick.
Yeah, I've been on that soapbox too, Rock. I was talking about it. What kind of a leader are you, man, when you miss 2 weeks in training camp?
That
You're
was
not on the
strange.
sidelines. Okay, that was very strange, and it was very apparent. Then I started digging into it, and then he goes out the day before a walkthrough was on a Saturday. He's going to go hang out with Robert Kraft. Look, you know what the difference between him, Tom Brady, and Brad Johnson was? Because they both did the same thing. Brad Johnson didn't screw the team. Okay, that's exactly my thoughts and sentiment. You can't say that, and neither can Peter. Me, I got nothing to lose. Like I said,
Well,
I'm a prognosticator, guys.
we'll
I
take
don't
it
think
like
he
this.
did this team any favors whatsoever. Great, thank you for bringing the championship, but you left this team in cap space hell. You didn't have to retire. What, you're going to pick up your Legos and go home? You already lost your wife. What are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me go ahead
I
and
feel
address
so
this.
bad about it. I really do. I just feel real bad, and I get really passionate about it.
That's okay. And let me go ahead and address this rumor. And this is from the Rich Eisen show. It wasn't until I got to number one that he decided to bring Tom Brady's name back into the mainstream rumor mill. Number one rumor I heard at the combine. This one just blew my mind. Tom Brady may not be done after all. Eisen said the one place that folks are saying keep an eye out for is Miami. And if the Dolphins, if they somehow, some way get a doctor's report, a piece of information from a medical evaluation of Tua, that he may not be ready to go. And suddenly there's Tom Brady sitting in Florida where his family is located, where he can easily locate himself. Keep an eye on that. I was told by a couple of birdies. Rock, what do you make of this latest rumor here? And let me go ahead and ask another question. Do you think that all the distractions off the field affected not only this Bucs team, but also Brady's play on the field?
Good question.
That is a good question. And I got to tell you, like, I'm there for every single practice. And you're only allowed, they start the clock, they do a long stretch with the music, and the strength and conditioning coach is yelling out. Under Arians, they didn't do that. Arians says, when it's time for practice, your ass is mine. Do the stretching on their own. So they brought that back. Brady would be the third one out. Okay, he's got all these different meetings, things coming out. He comes out. Every practice, I would watch the deep throw. No, he's still making the deep throw. When they do that drill, Clyde Christensen was a quarterback's coach. What they do just to, because the other guys are never getting the reps. They have a guy driving the cart. It's going through. It looks like a big donut. They put a laundry basket behind a net, and then they got to hit the crossbar. They would have competitions. They would get pissed off. They would really go at it. Brady still had it. Like, it wasn't like that he was kind of like, when he was there, I'm telling you, and I know you're making it sound like, oh, he really was bad for the organization at this time and all this. No. When he was there, it would actually make the other players make sure that they didn't screw up. So that's what I saw. But it got to the point at the end of the season where you're up high at the press box and you're watching, and it was like, wow, he looks slower, trying to get away from the rush. He's getting rid of it in the pocket. I was like, it's time. And I think he kind of honestly felt that. Like the other time, no. When he went over across the pond and it was Cristiano Ronaldo and the cameras picked that up and he was over there watching the soccer game and they picked it up and Ronaldo goes, "You done?" And Brady went, like it killed him. Like it wasn't, he just outwanted him. But I think this time it's done. So he did great. He made a lot of money, but it's time. They're moving on, and they are. And it's funny too because during Radio Row, which is now called Media Row, everybody is video. It's not on Radio Row anymore. I was there for 5 days during the Super Bowl, and it was there for 5 days during the combine. And I didn't, other than Brady, if that got brought up, because I went to the Fox press conference where Jimmy and Howie and Terry Bradshaw, and then we got a chance to talk to them. And what about Brady as a broadcaster? It's a good idea. He's taking a year off. He needs that. He's going to have to study, blah, 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 blah. But other than that, 5 days at the Super Bowl, hundreds of shows. I never heard anybody bring up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not kidding you. It was like almost, it's irrelevant. They're like irrelevant now.
Yeah, I mean, and now everybody is moving on to Kyle Trask. How much do you buy the fact that they're going to give Trask the opportunity to be the starter, or do you think they're going to bring in a veteran to compete? Because how I'm looking at it is, look, if you're taking the brunt of this cap, Rock and Harry, because we've talked about this before, I feel like you've got to see what you got in him in the second round pick. I don't think you're going to necessarily bring in the best veteran. Furthermore, you don't have that much money. If you look at the quarterback market right now, guys are getting 25, 30, 35 million. The Bucs are not going to pay those prices. So
Not right now. They're not. They can't afford to.
no. Well, the Saints can afford to, but I feel like the plan is they want to, they want to get their cap in order. They want to wait for next year, kind of like the Chicago Bears did last year, and run with Trask. Do you buy Trask at this point, Rock? Do you buy that that's what the Bucs want to do?
All right, so Dave Canales is the new offensive coordinator. He came from Seattle. He's a young guy, but he was the 10th interview. 10th. And in the NFL, college coaching, same thing. They all know everybody. It's very rare that a head coach will bring in a coordinator that he never met, that he doesn't know. That never happens, ever. And it happened because you don't know who's at quarterback and you're at salary cap hell. So would you want to risk your chance, your job to come here to Tampa Bay? Now, when we talked to Canales, he did his press conference, but he also went into the media room and he met with us, the beat guys that are there all the time. And, he couldn't record it and all that stuff. He basically, we were like, why'd you take this job? You don't know who? Kyle Trask, your guy? And he's like, how many opportunities do you get to be an offensive coordinator? I've waited my time. Pete Carroll went past me on this last offensive coordinator, and he goes, I was so mad. And I'm gonna train another guy now for a job that I thought. But he goes, you know what? After 1 or 2 days, it left me, and then I was back to doing what I do. So then we find out that Bowles, he was telling us when he was interviewing with Todd Bowles, and he would say, okay, well, do you want me to do it like this? And Bowles goes, no. I hired you to be the offensive coordinator. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because the offense looked bad. The offense they were old. They were slow. It was predictable. So the thing is, okay, they want to get into 2023. They would like to be able to do more things. Kyle Trask is a pocket passer, and he's the only quarterback on the roster. So at the combine, when we got Todd Bowles to the side, not when he's up there in a podium, and I said, Todd, why are you so confident? What makes you so confident that Kyle Trask could be your number one starter? And I swear I got it on tape. He looked me right in the eye. He's like, I never said that he was our starter. I said he'll get a chance to compete like other people. I never said he was a number one. He was also on CBS Sports. He did what they call the car wash. He did Sirius XM. He did NFL Network. They have him going around. When he was on CBS Sports, I don't know if you saw this, they were asking him Trask, and he goes, look, man, we don't know what we have. We'll give him the opportunity. We don't know if he's going to be a 1 or 2 or a 3. That's what he actually said.
Wow.
So they're in bad shape right now.
I mean,
that's great stuff.
But it doesn't make any sense to me, Rock, because we know about a quarterback's development, especially being a young quarterback. Why not stick with Byron Leftwich if you were going to run Trask out there? Because he already knows.
Here, let me answer that for Rock, if you don't mind.
He already knows.
700 pass attempts last year, Pete. 350 rushing attempts. And by the way, 2/3 of those rushes were on first down. That's why Byron Leftwich isn't in here. And for all you clowns out there that wanted this guy as your head coach, how do you like him now? Stop.
Well, I was one of those clowns out there.
Todd Bowles is fine.
But the statistics showed he had a top offense. Was that more BA? Was that more? I mean, I think, again, Tom Brady's input was on that. I mean, Rock, why not keep Leftwich around besides the obvious? You're only scoring 18 points a game to keep the stability factor. Because I'll go with this. The Bucs kept Dirk Cutter. In fact, they fired Lovie Smith because they wanted to keep the system intact for Jameis Winston. So why not do the same thing for Trask? And that's why I kind of have my doubts here. Here's a player who's only thrown 9 passes in an NFL game, and he's going into his 3rd year, and I'm supposed to believe that he's the answer going forward in 2023. I just don't buy it.
From what I was told is they knew, as you saw going along, they kept shooting themselves in the foot. Yet the NFC South was so bad, they kept looking at the division. Carolina lost again. Atlanta lost again. Yep. We're in this thing. And we got Brady. It might be Brady's last year. So that was the thing. A lot of people are like, well, you get to the end of the season, you want to see what you got for next year. No, their jobs are on the line. They're looking like we got Brady and the NFC South sucks. We're going to get in the playoffs. No, seriously, maybe we can turn it on. Maybe we can turn it on. They were lights out in Munich. They dominated Seattle. They couldn't. That was surprising to everybody. And Brady sometimes in the 2-minute, he still had that in him. That's what they were thinking. So they weren't going to take it like, we'll see what we got with Trask and give him more reps. No, we're all in on this last year. And the thing about Trask is Clyde Christensen had a very interesting interview that he did. And he was asked, like, okay, Trask, and we saw it. He's always the first one out there. Jason Light said he's out there by himself every day in this offseason at the facility by himself. Okay, he's a hard worker. We know that. He's a good kid. Yes, he's got some size. He worked on his body, so he cut a little bit. They all watched, with the TB12. They didn't go crazy like that. So, but Clyde Christensen had one telling point. He's like, but when it comes to like learning, he takes a little bit more of his time, like to grasp. So here you are now. You're going to have a brand new offense with Canales.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
So what's that going to be like? He's the only quarterback they got on the roster. They're in salary cap hell. That's the situation.
I agree with Rock so much here, but you know what, Rock? I'm going to tell you why I think the Bucs, instead of me sounding like I'm a Debbie Downer and just kicking the teeth on the organization, I'm going to give you the reason why I think this organization is going to be successful this year.
Okay.
And for my reasons, it's really simple. When I'm breaking game film down to get ready to give picks out, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not one game last year did I notice, and by the way, I'm going to be a little loquacious here, but then I'm going to get right to my point.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't one game where I seen any DBs or any safeties peeking into the backfield. Play action wasn't working. Forget about the fact that the offensive line was gone, and that's why they should have run the ball a little bit more. That's why I think you can be successful with a Kyle Trask. You could bring in a mid-tier quarterback and put them up under center. And with that offensive mentality that they are going to have with running a football, with a running back with 0 miles on the tires, with Mr. White back there, I think they're going to address somebody in free agency and maybe even draft another running back. But if they truly go to a run-first mentality and you are able to keep Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and shore up a few parts in that offensive line, this team will surely play ball control. And if they can go ahead and play defense, and that's exactly what Todd Bowles is all about, I see this team winning 10 ball games this year. That's only if they don't go through a fire sale, which leads me to my other point. Inside sources have told me that Mr. Devin White has already requested a trade. More than likely, that's because he's trying to, I don't know, get better contract money. Who knows? It may be true that he wants to leave the Buccaneers. Sorry.
Well, he was putting out some cryptic messages today on his IG talking about 4 years, and then he kind of said, let's go, let's ride. Not let's ride like Russell Wilson, but let's go. And this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a lot of people have thrown it out there because there is so much doubt with White. We've seen him rock, how he can play at a top level, and then he can be so inconsistent where he's not great in coverage, where he's taking bad angles when it comes to making tackles. So what do you make of that situation with what Harry said, 10 wins with the Kyle Trask, with the defense, and then Devin White in that situation working out?
What Harry said is exactly what Bowles and Jason Light are telling us. That's the plan. And you don't have to be, they're like, okay, we're not expecting a Brady. We're not getting that. You can win with the guys that we have, the guys we're going to bring in. And how Harry explained it. That's exactly what their mentality is for this season. But Bowles always ends it with, just don't turn the ball over, you know, and then we can stay in games. That's the mentality. That's exactly the mentality that they have. And then Canales said they're going to have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, and they're going to get rid of 1 after training camp, and they're going to have 3. And I said, what about drafting? What about even drafting high? I'm not saying about at number 19. And Light looked me right in the eye. He goes, of course that's on the table. There are some quarterbacks that we like in this draft too. They might draft one, and they're probably going to bring in like a mid-tier guy to compete with Trask. But exactly what Harry just said, that's exactly what Bowles and Light have been telling us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you're going to go. I think he's correct because you're trying to put the more emphasis on the running game. You're also supposed to get a DLG quarterback. Can Trask do that? Can he basically not turn over the ball? Can they win enough games? We shall see. We're talking
Peter,
about quarterbacks. Yes, Harry.
you know, I got to tell you, and this is why I have to keep standing on the soapbox and keep pounding this. They
Yeah.
don't respect Tampa's run game. And when you had Leonard Fournette and you have White and you have the Hosses in front of you, buddy, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to run block than it is to pass protect. The advantage that the Buccaneers are going to have versus any other running football team in the National Football League is they're going to have two of the better wide receivers in the game still on their roster come opening day.
Sure.
You have to respect the passing game. And if you commit to a running game, you are going to get 4 yards a clip. And the last time I checked, 4 times 3 is 12.
Well,
Okay.
they want to do that because
And
that's
you
why
bring 8 into the box then, and then
Right.
you're bringing the other safety, and you're leaving 2 wide receivers man to man on an island. Are you crazy?
Well, they hired
Rock Riley could go under center and throw the guy open 35 yards downfield.
Well, here's the thing, guys. You're exactly right. Rock could do that. And we're on with Rock Riley here, Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend. The Rock Stops Here podcast. Of course, Tampa Bay Free Press. Of course, Harry the Greek. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. That's the reason why you hire Dave Canales in the first place, the 4.8 yards that the Seattle Seahawks average on their run game. And, of course, you know, much has been made about them possibly drafting a running back in the first round. I mean, could you see that? The kid from Texas, Robinson Rock, at 19? Or do you think they kind of address that? Or do they go with White and Keyshawn Vaughn? Because here's a kid they drafted a couple years ago in the third round, still a premium pick, has never gotten the opportunity. Why not go with more needs like an offensive tackle, like a defensive tackle or defensive end with the Shaq Barrett, possibly cornerback? Why go with the running back in those premium rounds when you got 2 young ones on the roster already?
Anything is a possibility with a team that was as bad as they were. I know that they also, and Bowles has mentioned this a couple of times, edge rushers. This draft is supposed to be pretty good with corners, and it's also very good with edge rushers.
Big time edge rushers.
Yeah, and that's what they need. They really need that. Look, Shaq Barrett's coming off an Achilles. Okay, he's going to be a year older, so no way he's going to be as fast. He was their guy that got to the quarterback.
No, he got pressure to the quarterback.
There
Remember that one? The one that I really love, Rock, is when they were talking about, wait a minute, but did you see Shaq on there? He's got 2 sacks on the season, but he's got 25 hurries. No, man, you get paid to lay that guy out.
It's a lot better than JTS, who can't finish himself. I mean, that's another big-time question mark. So I think you're definitely on the right track there, Rock, with getting an edge rusher, because that may be the biggest need. I go back to the offensive line. Donovan Smith, all the reports are out there. They're going to cut him. Do you feel like, they're going to move Tristan Wirfs to the left tackle, draft a right tackle, possibly, go in with Luke Gedeke at the right tackle spot? Or are they going to leave Tristan Wirfs alone and possibly draft an offensive tackle at 19? Because here's my problem. You don't see many rookie left tackles come in there. Doesn't make any sense. You're putting a rookie left tackle with basically a rookie quarterback, and also a second year running back and a rookie quarterback. I don't know if
it'll work if you run the football, Pete. It only doesn't work when you are predictable for passing situations.
I still think it's a big time job and a big.
How did Chicago do it? With the fifth rounder. Hold on. How did Chicago do it this year with the 5th rounder? And every week he progressively got better because they ran the ball all over the place.
But they had a mobile quarterback also, and that's what you don't.
And it's harder to protect a mobile quarterback, Pete, because you don't know where he's at.
But he can make things happen.
That's true. That's true.
The point with Trask. Going back to the original question here, Wirfs to the left tackle spot, or do they draft somebody, in your opinion, Rock?
You know what? When we were off to the side, we asked, there was a guy next to me, Lee, and he asked Jason Light, is it a possibility? And he said, we're talking about it, possibility. Boy, oh boy, he's just one of the best right tackles in the game. He mentioned Gedeke. They might just move him over. They'll probably draft an offensive lineman. But going back to what Harry said, all year, it's the last couple of years, When we talk to offensive linemen or defensive linemen, they say the worst thing if you're a defense is to get run on and to get gashed.
Yep.
It takes your will. They said it takes your will away and it just defeats you. And a lot of these teams don't want to wait, to try to establish a running game if it doesn't go good in the beginning of a game. Also, if you're behind a lot, there's that scenario as well. But there were times last year, heck, when some of these guys on opposing teams were mic'd up, they were saying, we know exactly what they're going to do. They knew exactly what they were going to do. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And even Brady came out and he's like, I remember after the one game and he was like this, he was like, it turned into a pass-a-thon. You can't win when it's just a pass-a-thon. The other team knows where you're going to pass.
Rock, do you remember in the second game against Carolina after the second quarter that the DBs for Carolina weren't even running after the wide receivers? They weren't covering anybody 25 yards downfield because they knew they were getting pressure up there. They covered you within 20 yards. They didn't even bother turning you around to look at the receivers.
No, it was bad. It was bad. I didn't understand that because Bowles is a defensive guy.
Yep.
I didn't understand that. And there was some, a little bit of griping here and there. And the thing about Devin White is like, I don't know if you guys remember, but was it the second game, third game, where he said when we get a lead, we actually get bored.
He got bored.
Oh my God. The Falcons. Then the organization, somebody said something to him, boom. Then Warren Sapp showed a play where he was loafing. He just kind of loafed on it, and that blew up. And that was actually embarrassing because he actually came out to us and said, I want to talk. And usually he's the guy in the part of the locker room. He's always playing cards. He kind of runs the thing. And, being young, being talented, being in great shape, I actually thought he was getting too big for his britches early part of this season. And he got humbled by that Warren Sapp thing because it was on video and that was embarrassing. And Sapp's a Hall of Famer. And so he apologized to the team for that. And then he came over
classic.
to us. It was. It
That's
actually
classic.
was. Then his father got killed in prison and he went on the plane to Munich and he got the call that his father had been murdered in prison, and he got on the plane and went to Munich and still played a big game. So I mean, he's got a lot of talent, he's got a lot of heart and willpower, but it would not surprise me if he sees, like, these guys see, they know, they see, do they want to be on a team that salary cap? Who's our quarterback? Are we going to be bad? That would not surprise me if he's asked for a trade. That wouldn't surprise me, Harry.
Last question here, and we'll get you out of here, Rock. Thanks a lot for the time.
I love having this guy out.
He's
Are
great.
you kidding me?
He's
we're
absolutely
loving
bringing it. He always brings it here. Again, check out his podcast. The Rock stops here, interviewing anybody and everybody. At the end of the day, great celebrities in the sports business all over the place. So it's a great listen. Levante David, veteran stalwart, has been with this organization since 2012. A lot of people worried about him moving on to possibly greener pastures, if you will, because of the money aspect. I mean, how do you see this playing out? Do you think there is a legitimate concern by Jason Light in this organization that they could be losing David in free agency just because of the money situation?
Well, you heard Jason Light's, like, it's got to be value and value at all positions. They said he's been great for the organization. He's also 33 years old. He's not going to get better. There was.
Can anybody say Urlacher?
Right, right.
And he's not. And I'm sorry, he's not Brian Urlacher, guys.
I understand. No,
seriously,
he's
going to want that kind of money.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right. And
it comes to a point, it just doesn't become conducive. This is where I'm on the side of the organization.
Right. They let Derek Brooks go. They let Sapp go. You know what I mean? It happens. It happens. And it's a shame. And the amount of money that he's going to command and want, good for him to get a last paycheck. I think it's done. I think it's done.
All right.
It's done.
I said the last question. I got to ask you one more. Anthony Richardson. Everybody,
I got one for him too, but go ahead.
Anthony Richardson, big time numbers, 40 vertical. runs a 4.4, very inconsistent quarterback coming out of the Florida Gator program there. 54
Jamarcus Russell.
Well, but
Oh,
then,
I don't know.
well, wait a minute now. To be
It's
fair,
that bad.
Josh Allen came out and he was a 55%
I'm
completion
kidding.
percentage
I'm
passer.
kidding. I
That's
just
I'm
had
just
to
saying
say that.
it has
That's
been
funny.
compared out there, but do you think that that he'll be there at 19 first and foremost, Rock, with that performance? Do you think the Bucs would consider moving up for him, or was it just a look-see where they're doing their due diligence?
Well, they got to do their due diligence, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I made it a point of talking to guys that covered him at Florida. They were there. The first 2 days of the combine is all the pro people and pro media. And then the kids come in, and then, oh my God, from Alabama, Ohio State, and Penn State, there's so much media, and they're concentrating on the kids. So I went over to Gator reporters that cover Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
They all said the same thing. Good kid, humble, so much physical ability. Hasn't played a lot of college football. Yep. Got to be in the right system. Got to be in the right system. That's number one. I was just blown away by when I got there on Tuesday, by the time I left on Friday, and then his workouts on Saturday. Oh my God. It's like he's going to go top 3, 4, 5.
It's the second coming of Christ. Do you know who he reminded me of, Rock?
Jamarcus Russell?
No. Honestly, he reminds me because of his playing time. And by the way, I'm a huge Gator fan, okay? And I thought Anthony Richardson, Gators, my alma mater, love him, the whole 9 yards. Long story short, he reminds me of a Mitchell Trubisky, except Trubisky was picked number 2 by the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Same type of player, just not a lot of experience and just kind of got thrown to the wolves. Do I think he has a future in the National Football League? Yes. And Peter, to answer your question, I'd love to take this one from Rock. He will definitely be available at 19.
Wow. Okay.
I got a plate of wings for both of you here. That
you still haven't given me my steak dinner. The other 20.
Double or nothing.
Oh,
steak dinner here. Area 3. That Richardson goes in the top 10. And I'm going to tell you right now.
That'll be good for the Bears, baby, because they're going to move twice. Here, Rock, write this down. Chicago moves from number 1 to number 2 with Houston. They pick up a couple of draft picks. They get no players. They go from 2 to 4 to Indianapolis. They get who's the big defensive lineman? What's his name? DeForest. They get DeForest Buckner and pick up 3 additional draft picks. If Chicago is smart, they now trade back to either the Raiders or to the Carolina Panthers. If Carolina doesn't get the quarterback that they want, they pick up a plethora of draft picks and a ton of draft capital and still get the edge rusher that they're looking for. I promise you, they move twice. They'll be super smart and be geniuses if they can go 3 times.
Nice. He's brought, boy, you can tell he's broken that down. That sounds good.
Yes.
No, I'd like to see Anthony Richardson do good, but I cannot get too hyped on the vertical and the 40. And there was a time where John Lynch came over to me. He goes, bench press. I've never used a bench press. I'm there a hitter. I got to tackle and wrap up. When do I push off as a safety? Forget about this stuff, man.
Didn't you know this is 1938 with the jump pass over the end zone? Come on, man.
Oh my God.
He's gonna go ahead. What's that?
Built like Tarzan, play like Jane. I mean, yeah. No, he's on the all bus team. I said, what's the all bus? He looks great coming off the bus. I mean, come on.
That's where it's
talking about the all bus team. Yes. Mr. Riley, does Gerald, this is completely off the bases and off the rails. There's a reason why I'm asking this. Does Gerald McCoy, when he retires, go into the Ring of Honor?
I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say yes. I know. No, you know what? They actually liked him inside the organization. He was just on bad teams. There were a few things where he would come out before every game with Travis nuts and go down, and the whole stadium is watching. They put it on Jumbotron, and he looks up and he does all that. Like, you really got to do that. There were a few little things like, Gerald, come on.
He was an oversized Ray Lewis.
You're actually giving him a credit. Ray Lewis. Oh, my God.
I'm talking about the dance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I remember all of them. There's a reason why I'm asking. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Great. I'll be looking forward to that then.
All right, Rock, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution. Thanks a lot for your time, my friend.
No, honored to be on with you guys. You do a great job. It's the Rock Stops here. That's my podcast, wherever you get your podcast. I try to get people that have made it to the top, whether it's media, whether it's athlete, a couple of entertainers, and how did you make it? And what about after the limelight? It's over. What's that like? So I like doing that. And I cover the Bucks and the Rays and the Lightning and a couple different places. And follow me at Real Rock Rally. That's on Twitter and on Instagram. Rock Rally on Facebook. So I appreciate it. And I enjoyed it. I appreciate it, guys.
Always
Rock,
welcome.
you're the man, brother.
Oh yeah. No, I honored to be one.
Right there.
I'm sorry for your loss, by the way, with Dave Wills. Seriously.
Thank you. You too. Too. Yeah. It was rough today. It felt strange. It just felt very eerie. It felt strange being there. But life, as you know, life will go on and we'll move on. But we won't forget him.
Nope. How can you? Greatest announcer in Tampa next to Gene Deckerhoff, in my opinion.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. And Dave Michigan's in there, definitely. Dave Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan.
Well, yeah.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Rock. Appreciate you.
Rock,
Thank you,
take
guys.
care, man. Thank you so much.
You got
man.
it.
Good stuff there. Let's come back here. Let's read some of these comments. We're opening up
great
the
guy,
phone
by the
lines. I'm telling you, it's a great interview. If you guys want to call up on the phone lines, I know there was some remembering and stuff like that. I definitely want to take your phone calls. I also want to read some of these comments here, as we always do. Troy says first. Roger says you're last. Well, I'll tell you what, ask for phone calls, get phone calls. Curtis, welcome to the Evolution, leading it off. You're on with you along with Mr. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. Go.
I was watching you guys. That was a great interview, man.
Thank you. Appreciate
That's kind of sports media that I appreciate, you guys. Like, seriously.
Hey, man.
But
I had to put my brain together. Rock Riley. I know as soon as I see him, I'm like, I do remember Rock.
Yeah. Yep.
But I've been working a lot, but I have caught some of the combine. I was listening to what you guys are saying.
Right.
And I want to touch on this Anthony Richardson kid. Listen.
Touch on it.
It looks good.
You know what, Harry? Shut up, Harry.
I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say anything bad. But what I'm gonna say is, I know you guys are just like me. We've been watching NFL Combine, the NFL for years.
Sure.
And you always have those damn workout warriors.
Yep.
That get pushed up in the draft.
Thank God for Mike Mamula, because if you don't have Mike Mamula doing what he did at the Combine, you don't have Warren Sapp dropping down.
Pardon my pun, but nobody gave a shit about Anthony Richardson until what they seen he could do at the Combine. And again, you don't throw the ball with your feet.
Well, I will say this. The hype has always been there with Richardson. He's never gotten.
But it's good. It's our job to build them up, Peter, because the Bears are going to end up getting a third. I just love this.
It's good for the Bears, and it's good for the
I hope there's more quarterbacks that make it into the top 10. Keep coming, baby. Keep coming.
Will you shut up, Harry?
I have one prayer.
All right, go ahead, Curtis.
I have one prayer for that kid.
Yes.
That kid needs to go somewhere and sit for a year. Period.
Yep.
That's what he needs.
But you know that usually doesn't happen, which is right.
I mean, here's the thing.
In today's days.
The last thing I talked to you, Pete, we were talking about Jordan Love. Jordan Love has sat behind Aaron Rodgers for how many years?
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know.
He sucks.
He looks terrible. He does.
Sucks.
But he has no camaraderie with the team either.
Nope. Well, are you saying Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, Harry?
Both.
Oh, geez. You know what? Listen, the Packers are going to definitely have to turn that page to Rodgers. I mean, that's what you're hearing right now. You're hearing from Mike Silver that he has to be fully committed. I don't know what's changed from year to year. Aaron Rodgers has never been fully committed. until the Packers pay him.
Hang on, just drink some kratom.
Hey, Harry,
lay down.
Harry, let me take care of this Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yes, please do.
I wouldn't give a flip what happens with Aaron Rodgers. Wouldn't give a flip. Because listen, who cares? Yeah. I'm tired of it. He's a freaking prima donna.
Listen, Danica Patrick whipped his ass.
If I want to, I don't even watch soap operas. If I want to watch this much drama, I watch a soap opera.
That's true.
I watch WWE on Monday and
listen, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it has been sands through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives. That is what it's been. The young and the restless with Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to come back? Is he going to play? Is he hurt emotionally? He's going into a darkness.
He's hurt.
He's got a new girlfriend. He's got this. He's not. Get rid of it. Look, you drafted Jordan Love for a reason as a number 1 pick. Let's figure out if you need him or not, if you're going to have him, because at the end of the day, he's not going to be fully committed to the Green Bay Packers. He's not been fully committed. Call the Carolina Panthers. Call the New York Jets right now, which
they have, because
they're missing out on Derek Carr. But the problem is, Curtis and Harry, who is going to pay that $60 million price tag for a 39-year-old quarterback?
They're going to pay it. The issue is not the money. Hold on, Curtis. The issue is not the money. The issue is who they have to give up or what they have to give up for a 39-year-old quarterback.
What do you give up for Aaron Rodgers?
You want to know what you give up?
Yeah.
You give up 1 second rounder, or you give up a 3rd and a 5th. That's it. You can't give up a 1st rounder for it because of his age. You are getting 2 more years. You're getting 2 years out of Aaron Rodgers.
Go ahead, Curtis.
You'll be lucky to get that.
I'm being generous.
I agree.
And speaking of Derek Carr,
yeah,
good luck, New Orleans.
Yeah,
because I'm going to tell you something. I've watched Derek Carr his whole career. He's had one good year. That was the year he went 12-4 at quarterback for Oakland, and he lost. He got hurt before the playoffs started.
Let me fill you in on a little something. I was talking about it on we were instant messaging. Since I've had a lot of extra time on my hands lately, which I don't want to talk about, I watched about 4 to 5 games from the Raiders, and every game was indicative of one thing. Derek Carr has a problem throwing to his left, which should be automatic for him. There's something wrong with his arm. And you're right. Good luck, New Orleans.
Good luck, New Orleans.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about this and let's be fair, Derek Carr is thrown for 4,000 yards before. He's a multi-Pro Bowler. He's also had multiple offensive coordinators, and he's never had a stout defense like he has with the Saints. The Saints have a good defense, so it makes sense. And to me, he's the best quarterback in this roster, in this division right now. Could that change?
Yes. I appreciate you saying that Derek Carr has thrown for 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield threw for 4,000 yards.
It's a fair point, but
I like Baker Mayfield.
But I think it's also fair to say he's had multiple offensive coordinators. We've seen what it can do to a young quarterback, and also he hasn't necessarily had a defense. But did he have a down year last year? Yes. Was that because of him? Was that because of an injury? Was that because of coaching? Dennis Allen's familiar with them. He's 15-38 in his coaching career. They're banking on it at the end of the day.
Let me say this as a Bucs fan, and Harry, you might not agree with me as I say this. I had a lot of my friends that were Bucs fans that were trying to, Derek Carr would be great. No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, you're also looking at the other expert right next to me, the Derek Carr expert.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'd rather take Jimmy Garoppolo than Derek Carr.
But the problem is with Jimmy, he can't stay healthy. That's what he hasn't been able to do. But you're exactly right. He is the perfect quarterback for Todd Bowles' system because he's not going to lose games. He's not going to turn over the ball. You can build it around the fact of running the football because that's exactly what the 49ers did with him at the starting controls. But you're exactly right. At the end of the day, for me, Derek Carr was the best quarterback out there. I'm not afraid to admit it because the options are somebody who has thrown the ball 9 times in his NFL career, which again, Trask Force, as somebody was telling me tonight, they're supposed to call the show. That's the new nickname. Yes. Or you're talking about Gardner Minshew, Taylor Heineke, Jacoby Brissett, mean, those are the names out there.
Mitchell Trubisky.
I don't care about any of that other trash right now. I don't.
Okay.
And this isn't Todd Bowles' system, by the way.
No, it's not. But let me ask you a question. Okay. We're not going to talk about Tom Brady. That's over. I'm tired of hearing
no more.
You
don't believe any of the rumors that have been put out there by Rich Eisen that he could go back to Miami
I told everybody where he's going to go. He's going to the strip club.
Well, listen, and you're paying for everybody.
This guy sucks. Hey, Harry, let's go hang out with him if he goes to the strip club.
Listen, he'd probably be a great time.
We could take his leftovers.
Let me go ahead and stir this up a little bit, guys, because he was out at USC on Saturday night with none other than Mike Evans. He was with Blaine Gabbert. He was with Ryan Griffin. So is there a possibility that he sees what's going on in the division right now and the whole conference and says, you know what? Maybe I will come back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't believe any of that at all?
Oh, he's coming now. Let's start that rumor.
What? I'm just saying.
He's coming back.
I'm just saying. I mean, that rumor's put out there. Everybody assumes it's Miami.
He's coming.
Listen,
let me ask
both of y'all this question.
Yes.
I know what we're talking about Kyle Trask.
Yes.
I know all the stuff around him.
Yes.
But let me ask you both of these questions. Would you rather have him or would you rather have Blaine Gabbert?
Who?
Seriously.
Trask or Blaine Gabbert? Is that who you're talking? Is that the choices?
That's what I'm asking you.
I want Kyle Trask.
Thank you.
I think I want Kyle
and
Trask.
anybody that speaks bad of Kyle Trask, he shall forgive you of your sins.
Oh, shut up and be quiet. Will you shut up?
Shut up! Let's go about the shit right there.
And Blaine Gabbert's not even on contract anymore, guys.
And I know that. And I also want to touch on the Byron Leftwich thing. Listen, let me tell you, I'm like I said, I've been watching football for a long time. I remember when Leftwich got drafted by Jacksonville.
Sure.
He lost his job to David Garrard.
Okay. And the point that Peter, why didn't you ever tell me you had intelligent guests calling in like this? Okay,
we always have intelligent guests
because it's like rinse and repeat everything that I've said. I don't know if you heard that.
You done patting yourself on the back?
He sucked as an OC, and for the people out there that wanted him to be your head coach,
my former co-host in the Sports Don, you pat yourself on the back more than anybody I know.
Peter,
honestly,
hold on, Peter. Here's the other thing.
Yes.
Do you remember when he was the quarterback for the Buccaneers?
Yes, Josh Freeman took his job. I remember. Of course, I remember.
No. Terrible. Josh Freeman didn't take his job.
Oh, he wasn't good. No, but they drafted Josh Freeman. They actually signed him and then drafted Josh Freeman.
We could, man. Listen, I would have took Mike Glennon. I would have took Bruce Gradkowski over Byron.
You can't say Mike
Don't
Glennon.
say Mike Glennon, please. Not
you
on.
Can't say Napoleon Dynamite. You can't bring up his name.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Mr. Neck.
Leftwich has been terrible. Leftwich has been terrible everywhere he's gone. Okay. The only reason he even looked good is because of Arians.
I guess that's a fair assumption, but still, you look at the numbers at the end of the day. He's not getting a job this year. It looks like he's not going to get a job.
No, that's like okay. Now let's touch on Todd Bowles.
Okay.
Now, if you remember Bowles when he got the job with the Jets, he was a run first team. They play good defense. They run the goddamn ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's what they did. He made the playoffs, I think his first year, maybe his second year. After they couldn't run the ball anymore in New York, he was dead in the water.
By the way, where is Leftwich now? Is he carrying a Gatorade tub somewhere? I mean, what's he doing?
Will you shut up and be quiet?
This probably sucks.
No, really. Has anybody picked him up?
No, he probably was bartending at the strip club Brady was at.
Oh,
no, really. Has he been picked up anywhere?
He has not.
Really? So let's talk about how good he is. He had a top-rated offense for every year that he was here. Because of him.
I think he was somewhat responsible in that, but again, I think probably
I still see him playing a Michael Jordan in the Miami of Ohio game when he was trying to move his dead leg across the midfield to get over there to spike the ball. You remember that when he was playing on
Marshall when he was trying to get carried
That's it.
off the field?
When he played for Marshall.
Yeah, that's what it was. I still go back to that day and went,
What's
this
going
guy's
on
a
the
real winner.
shot right there?
Don't you think that Jacksonville is glad they didn't go from Urban Meyer to Byron Leftwich?
Well, obviously, they were about to hire him, and then they figured out that and Byron wanted his own general manager, wanted to say, and yeah, they probably are happy. Hindsight is 2020, but yeah, hiring Doug Peterson, absolutely.
Let's get off my Buccaneers for a second because I want to touch on something else.
Sure, go for it.
What do y'all think? And Harry, I know you got something to say. What do you think about Eric Bieniemy in Washington?
Lateral move, sir. I don't understand it, but you know what? I like the move. And the reason why is because now when he does finally show what he can do, he will probably get a fair shake at landing a head coaching job somewhere in the National Football League, especially if he could do something with Washington's offense.
Yep.
Hey, man, I think it's a good move. That man has bet on himself. He'll either be out of a job in 2 years where he had complete security staying with Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I like that move. It's almost like a thoroughbred horse. They ran him in a maiden special weight for $80,000. And he didn't do anything, and he ran 6 furlongs, and he looked a little bit short. But this time, they're still going to run him an $80,000 maiden special weight, and they're going to run him 7 furlongs this time because they're going to stretch him out. That man is betting on himself. It was the best thing that Eric Bieniemy could ever do for himself.
And it's good for him because, a lot of people were saying Andy Reid was calling the plays much like Byron Leftwich, and you saw that when BA left, Byron Leftwich was basically exposed to a certain degree.
That's my point.
Now Eric Bieniemy
right.
Is going to get the
exactly
opportunity.
The point because
right.
If the Bucs would have still had a high octane offense without Arians being there, and it would have been because of Leftwich, they would have been beating down the door for Leftwich.
Yeah.
And now nobody's beating down the door for him because guess what? It looks like he wasn't the issue. It doesn't look like Leftwich knew anything. It looked like it was all Arians.
Yeah. Yep. Agree, Curtis. We got to run here, my friend. Use that second call. Let me get out to. Thanks a lot for the call, as always. Curtis.
Yeah.
Use the second call. Let me get out to Craig. Craig, welcome back, or welcome to the Evolution. Okay, he's gone, I guess. So call back, Craig. Whoever else was calling. Sorry about that. Trying to get
great show tonight, man. This is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I mean, we're going to have a lot of fun in the off season. It's not going to be just all doom and gloom. I'm going to have my doubts, but at the end of the day, I told you I'm going to give it a chance and see how it works out. And I feel like what Jason Light has said, what everything else has gone on. Let's go out to the phone lines. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Welcome to the Sports Web. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek.
This is Eric, Tampa.
Hey, what's going on, Eric? How you doing,
Hi,
bud?
Eric. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, you guys. How about you?
Good. Eric, hold on a minute. Let me go out to the phone lines really quick. Stand by. Roger, let me put you on hold. We're going to come back out to Eric. We'll finish up with him, and then we'll come out to you, all right? Stand by, all right?
Yep.
All right. Craig, call back if you want to. We'll put you on hold. Eric, go ahead. What do you have to say tonight here on the Sports Web?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, this is, man, I don't think Tom Brady's coming to the Bucs. I'm going to say it now.
All right, hold on, Eric. Let me go out to Craig here. Craig, hold on a sec here. We're going to come out. We're going to finish up with Eric, and then we'll come out to you, okay?
All right, brother.
All right, Eric, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
He made his point. His point is that you can go out to Craig because Eric's point was that he didn't think that Brady was coming back to Tampa. That was a great call. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, appreciate it, Eric. All right, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I guess it's your phone line. Craig from Las Vegas, welcome to the Evolution. Roger, you're on deck. Go ahead. Welcome, Craig.
What's up, Harry? What are we going to go? Maiden special weight next? We're going to put a bug on there at 109. I mean,
you talking horse racing now?
Hey, at least my boy out there in Vegas understood what I was talking about. I like the aggressiveness. I mean, it's almost like a comparison. You don't obviously the horse and the jockey couldn't run 6 panels, so let's push him 7 panels and see what he can do.
Yeah, put the 109, 108 bug on him, and we're good, right?
Yeah, that's it. Put bug boy on him. Let's go. Peter has no idea what we're talking about.
No idea at all. It's foreign language to me at this point.
Hey, Craig, I don't know if you watch
Yeah, my
Gulfstream.
parents owned racehorses growing up. So yeah,
I don't know if you watched Gulfstream on Saturday. It was very unfortunate. I played the pick six. They had the giveaway. They bet a little over $6 million into it, and I was 4 for 4 with 6 pieces in the fifth leg, and I didn't have a 5-1 shot. Could have. I could just he was sitting in the play. Long story short, I went 5 out of 6. It didn't pay much. 40,000.
40,000, not much. Jeez.
No,
Good
I was
for
being
you, man.
sarcastic. Craig knows
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Good for you, man.
It's the same thing when you put the try in. You put 6-7 horses there, and the one you leave out is the one that kills you all the time.
No, the thing that was a pisser about it, I had a $42 saver play I didn't put in, and it was with that particular horse with 2 bullets.
Oh,
And the 2 bullets got there. One was 8-1, the other one was 12-1. Try that on for size. You have bullets at ones that are 8-1 and 12-1, and you're talking 13 horse fields.
Wow.
Well, if you ever get out west, try to go to. If you've ever been to Del Mar in the summer,
Love Del Mar, where the surf meets the turf. It's one of the greatest. You know what? It's the greatest horse track in the entire country. No disrespect to the man's track up in New York and Aqueduct. It's a shithole compared to what Santa Anita and Del Mar are. Okay? Belmont, I love it. Monmouth Park up in New Jersey is gorgeous. Tampa Bay Downs down here is beautiful. Go down the Gulf Stream, but there is nothing like Del Mar and Santa Anita.
Wow.
Oh, Del Mar, and it's got to be the Friday afternoon, 3:00 late post. That's the best one with this because you watch the sun go down during the last few races.
Oh my God, it's absolutely gorgeous out there. I'm going to make it out this year. I'm supposed to go out to the Breeders' Cup again. I was invited at Keeneland the past couple of years. Had a phenomenal time out there. What a job that TVG puts out with FanDuel. It's just unbelievable what they do for us.
All right, Peter, we'll bring you back in now.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I have no idea what you guys are talking. I get it. It's horse racing. I'm kind of thinking of Chris Thomas tonight. I mean, that's what Chris Thomas would talk about on 620 during the afternoon drive. Actually, mid afternoon drive.
Mid afternoon, because my dad would sit out in the bleachers. Well, actually, out in the grandstands with him on the later races. My dad used to go to later races and always see Chris there.
Nice. We're talking about some legends tonight, that's for sure. All right, Craig, what do you have to say, man? What's on your mind?
First, let me talk about Dave Wills real quick. I mean, Dave Wills is a legend. I mean, he's the soundtrack to summer. Every time the Rays are on the TV here, I've got my headphones on, listening to him. He answers tweets. He would say like "Happy birthday" to my son, or say hi, or say hi to my parents if they're listening. I met him in Anaheim. I happened to stay at the hotel where the players were at one time, and just nicest guy in the world. Every time we're on the road somewhere to go see the Rays every summer, we'd always wave to Dave and Andy in the booth. And it's just when that came across the line early in the morning, it was a little after 8:00 here yesterday, my heart sunk. I mean, that was just, 18 years of the same voice. And listen, he could tell a story like you were sitting right there. And
that's true.
He's one of the legends. I mean, you mentioned Gene, you mentioned Michigan. I think I go back to, Mark Champion, Larry Hirsch with the Lightning too, was some of the great voices that I grew up with down there.
Yep.
But Dave just was like, it just was Dave and Andy. That's what you did. I mean, it was great. And they were like a fan in the booth because they would get on the team. They would bark at the other team. They would call it Replica Yankee Stadium.
Love it.
They would do everything. It was just, your heart goes out to him, his family, and everybody there. It just, he did the game Saturday and he's gone the next morning. It's just so sad to hear about that. But Dave is a legend, and hopefully the Rays will do a nice tribute to him all year, and maybe put a patch on him, just like some of the other teams have done when they've lost key people to their organization.
They should absolutely do that. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see that, and you're exactly right. And it's life is too short sometimes, and we take it for granted, and we think that we're going to get up the next day, and we don't. And it's sad because when I heard it, and we were working on it, and I was talking to Harry offline, we were working on trying to get Dave on our shows to talk Rays baseball, because we talk football a lot predominantly, but we like to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. We like to talk about baseball in general. So we definitely were looking forward to having him on here, and we're not going to get the chance. And I'm just disappointed that it goes like that. But God, a lot of great memories.
Yeah, and even Keith Olbermann mentioned him on his podcast today. Give a nice, he talked Keith Olbermann off the ledge a little bit when he was doing radio a few years ago. It was his first time doing professional radio, and Dave gave him some great things. If it stinks, it stinks. If it's good, it's good. If it's laugh, if it's funny. Cry, if it's sad. But he mentioned it too. So he touched a lot of different people, and I don't think he realized how much there's many people that he touched just because maybe no one knew him or couldn't get in touch with him. But he gave us that story every summer of Rays baseball, and it's going to be missed.
Definitely.
Regarding the Bucks and the quarterback situation, some of the names you throw out there, I mean, unless it's a Baker Mayfield or someone like that who was a former number one, I just think Jacoby Brissett, Minshew, all those guys are in the same bucket.
Yeah.
If they're not starters by now, then they are what they are. You spend a second round pick on Kyle, you're going to have to see what you got. If it doesn't work out, then you move on to the next option in the next year. You do have a little more cap flexibility, but you're going to have to eat it for a little bit this year.
Yeah,
I agree with some of the with what you're talking about. Some of the veteran guys. I thought Brooks had a few more years left, but it's tough with the cap situation. I think it's a different situation. I thought the Sapp thing and the way they handled those two weren't good.
No,
I think they've done everything they can for Levante. I hope he finishes as a Buck. I'd love to see him, even if he goes somewhere else. Maybe retire as a Buck on a one-day contract. But he's not going to get any better. But could he still help this team out too? I mean, you saw those Devin White Instagram, kind of cryptic messages today. Maybe he's on the chopping block, or he may be traded, or something like that. So, it's going to be interesting there because, like Harry said, he's almost cut as the same mold as Roquan Smith, but I don't see him as that same value as Roquan as well too.
And Roquan's a lot younger too.
Yeah. Devin is just. It's so inconsistent. If he was
he's
more
inconsistent. I mean, that's what it comes down to, Craig and Harry. It comes down to that. It comes down
his age, man. It's his age.
Well, he's young, but we've seen him how he can play to the top level, and he hasn't been able to duplicate that. He hasn't been able to reciprocate that.
He's getting older.
Well, I think he's still relatively young. It's not age. It's the fact of this may be the player that you got.
How many years has he been in the league?
Since 2019, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about Devin White. My apologies.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay. So you look at White, you saw what he could do in 2020, and you think that, you know what? He's hit that level. He's going to be like that. He's going to get better and better. Maybe he's just that type of player, right? Maybe he's just inconsistent. Maybe he's not great in coverage. Maybe he's bad on tackles, but he is the defensive leader on this team. And what do we know here, Craig? That when he came into the league before he got drafted, that his goal was to have a $100 million contract. Right now, if you're Jason Light, and I'll ask you both here, Craig first and then Harry, if you're Jason Light, are you doling out that money of $100 million to Devin White? Why or why not?
I'm not. And I think there's two things. You haven't seen anything close to him when he played in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen that same player. I think it's the same thing you say about S&B. That's why he doesn't have a second contract coming too.
Right.
Those guys had the best playoffs you could ever imagine as a defender. I mean, Devin changed the game. They caused the fumble. He got the interception to put us in the lead against the Saints. He had unbelievable game against Kansas City. But we haven't seen that level of play. We saw it with Player of the Month last year.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, it's so inconsistent. And the coverage stats they're just alarming for that position that he plays, because the linebacker, unless you're going to make him a blitzing linebacker and that's all he's going to do,
right?
It's tough to dole out that kind of money. And I think the other thing too is when he said, what was it, the Falcon games last year? We got a little bored out there.
It's such a bad look. You
can't pay $100 million for a guy.
If that is
I got bored.
Right. If that's your defensive leader, then that's not a good optic. And furthermore, is that a direct reflection of what that defense is going to be? Because he is the leader of that team. Craig, hold on a minute. Harry, I know you got to get out of here. Let me get you out of here really quick.
Just want to, I want to, but before you let me sign off, I want to comment. Number one, I don't think he meant it the way it came out. Okay, I want to go on record saying that. I'm not going to say it was one of his brighter moments, nor was it one of the smarter things that he ever said.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he made the comment, I think it came out wrong. That's just my personal opinion. But when you have a team that is needing a lot of different positions, you're going to have to lose a couple of really good skill position players. And unfortunately, he may be a casualty eventually because you can't pay him. There's just, you don't have the money to do it because the problem is, and I'm going to keep bringing it up,
not this year, but
not
next
this
year.
year.
Okay,
The
right.
offensive line needs a lot of help. And repeat after me, it's cathartic, okay, guys?
Yes.
Tom Brady screwed this team.
I think, again, I go back
That's
to
it.
It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You have the
But
great
he brought a championship
Correct.
to the Tampa Bay
And
organization.
to the Glazers' credit, they did everything they could to make this
Yes,
thing
they did.
work.
Anyway,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on. Peter, Craig, nice talking to you. But I'm Harry the Greek. You can catch me here Wednesday night, right here live on the Sports Web. And very soon we're going to start our picks again. We're going to be talking about baseball season. Special guest will be coming up. And as I always say, keep your bets low and your returns high. And if I pissed you off, I did my job. Talk to you guys later.
Good job, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252
Take care, buddy.
Chicago Sports. Craig, go ahead and finish up here, my friend.
No, and I agree with what I said. Listen. Anytime you win a championship, and when the Bucks did it, the first one,
Mm-hmm.
the Rams are doing it now. Eventually, you're going to have to pay off the tab in some way.
Sure.
So I'd rather win a championship and have something to show for it versus other teams that have gone for it and they don't have anything to show for it. So
exactly,
I'd rather have two trophies in the window versus some other teams that I think. Look, the Rams have one, but there's some other teams that I think the Buffalo is going to be in one of those windows soon where, that Von Miller contract, all those other contracts are going to come due. A lot of those contracts come due before you know it, especially when you got the big quarterback with the $400 million contract too. Eventually you're going to have to pay. I think the Eagles are going to see a little bit. I mean, they got some key free agents on the market too that,
sure,
they're going to have to eventually put $200 to $300 million in their quarterback as well too. So how much more left? So listen,
that's the toughest dynamic about it.
When the window's open,
right?
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's okay. I'd rather worry about this type of year, having a Super Bowl from a couple of years ago, than people don't realize how many NFL teams don't have a Super Bowl. Period.
Atlanta Falcons called, Cincinnati Bengals called, Detroit Lions called. I mean, all those teams right now would want it, especially the Atlanta Falcons blowing the 28-3 lead, especially the Cincinnati Bengals. How many times have they been in the Super Bowl and have gone winless? You lose both to San Francisco, and then, of course, you lose to the Rams. They're on a controversial call, which, neither here nor there, but you're exactly right. If you have to go for it, you go for it. You put all your chips in. And Bucs fans, and we knew this was going to happen on the Sports Web. We talked about it. We said, look, if you go all in, eventually you're going to have to, pay the piper. And that's exactly what they're doing. I still think they could have, moved some contracts around. I still think they're going to do that. But in the variety of what the Saints did today with signing a Derek Carr, they're not doing that. They're going with the cheap veteran. They're going to go with the Trask. More than likely, it's going to be a rebuilding year. And who knows? Look, if Kyle Trask performs and he balls out and you make the playoffs, then Jason Light looks like a genius. But if he doesn't ball out, then you get a high pick in this draft coming in 2024, and you're able to get a Caleb Williams who won a Heisman Trophy at USC. You're able to get a Drake May from North Carolina. So it may be tough this year to watch, but at the end of the day, the Bucs as an organization will probably be better off for it. Agree?
I agree. And listen, and if you find even 8 or 9 wins next year, with Kyle at the helm, with the limited salary cap situation, sky's the limit. I mean, there's quarterbacks. Obviously, Brock Purdy came on last year. He's one that was Mr. Irrelevant. There's quarterbacks drafted behind him, similar to him that when they get their chance, they finally done well. I mean, you guys were talking about Aaron Rodgers before. Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 or 4 years until he finally took the helm, and he you know, he's going to be a Hall of Famer too. You talked about Carr too, and one thing I'll give about Carr, I think this year more than ever, I think Josh McDaniel's a terrible coach. I mean,
my
son's a Raiders fan, and I saw Carr thrive best under Rich Bisaccia, who deserved to be the head coach, who was a key piece of the Bucs' first championship, who I thought at one point should have got a consideration and been given a head coaching job after he took the Raiders. So that was a mess that year between the Ruggs and the whole situation that they went through.
Gruden and everything else, and you're still able to make the playoffs, and then you fire the guy. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why Bisaccia has never been given any consideration, because he's always done a hell of a job. In fact, I love to have Rich Bisaccia as a special teams coach, because the Bucs special teams right now is one of the weakest areas. You know, Keith Armstrong not doing the best job there. They're not doing the best job with that unit, whether it's not making field goals from longer than 50 yards or the punt coverage or not having punt returns. I mean, that's one area that you have to be good at also. And the Bucs the last couple of years haven't been, but Rich Bisaccia, one of the best special team coaches in the league. I don't understand why he's never been given an opportunity as a head coach. At least Mark Davis, you know, you give him the opportunity to have another year there and see if he can put it together. And you're exactly right. And again, I keep on going back to this with Carr, and people want to make jokes of it and everything like that, but he was in another system. How many offensive coordinators has he had in 9 years? 6. That is not great. That's not great for a young quarterback. So that's going to basically screw up your development. We've seen it. And then on top of it, you've never had a defense. So the onus has always been on Derek Carr throwing the ball, Derek Carr winning games. And you just can't win like that all the time. You have to have a special quarterback. Is he Tom Brady? No. Is he a good quarterback with a complementary defense and a running game? Yeah, I think he can be. Can he be the best quarterback in this division? By far, unless Atlanta makes a trade for Lamar Jackson, which they may do here in the next couple of days, especially if the Ravens put on a non-exclusive franchise tag where there's teams out there who can match the contract or put together a contract, and all they have to give up is 2 first-round picks. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I give up those 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson, because I continue to say this and stand on this hill that I feel like the Falcons made a mistake by not drafting Justin Fields when he's in your own backyard. He's a local Georgia guy, exciting, athletic. I love Kyle Pitts, but when you got an opportunity to get a quarterback like that guy, you got to take advantage of it, and they weren't able to do it. So now what do you got to do, Craig? You got to go in free agency and make up for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then, I mean, look how bad. I mean, the Raiders, if you want to talk about, listen, Carr left. Unless they can pull off the deal, the Raiders with Rodgers.
Yep.
I guess there was a rumor on the web today that they were looking at, you know, Josh McDaniels was looking at trade for Mac Jones. I mean, come on.
I mean, Mac Jones,
you're
because
going
you're
from
familiar.
Carr to Mac Jones.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, that's not a good. Yeah,
that's not a good thing. And you're going to go with Jared Stidham. I mean, come on. I mean, it just shows you just how much of a clown that guy is, Josh McDaniel, and just how poor this organization's run. But listen, Carr right now, you got to get the Saints. They've got the best quarterback in the division right now. It'll be interesting to see what's around him next year.
Sure.
With the Kamara thing hanging out there, with the potential suspension. We know Thomas isn't going to be back. They're going to shut that contract out too, or they're going to have to rework that, because there's no way he's going to get paid, $20+ million to run slants for 2 games and be out for the rest of
$48
them.
million or something ridiculous like that. I mean, yeah, you're not going to do that. You're going to rework that contract. The guy can't stay healthy. He was cheering about it today because he was happy. They're going to cut Jameis Winston. I know there's a lot of Bucs fans out there saying Jameis Winston back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It doesn't make any sense, because, again, if your system is to run the ball and not turn it over, we know that has been the Achilles heel of Jameis Winston. He's improved on it the last couple of years. I think the organization is ready to turn the page. They're going to either go with the vet to compete with Kyle Trask, and for me, it's Trask's job to lose at the end of the day.
Yeah, Jameis Part 2 doesn't need to happen. We've been there, done that.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
Listen, and I think especially the way he acted after a few of those games, I don't think the Glazers would want him back in the building. And listen, I don't think we need any more press conferences, but check your stat sheets.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't need that. You're exactly right about that, Craig. Anything else, my friend?
No, man, keep it up the great work. I love the show. I love to call in when I can.
Yeah.
And, keep going on, keep doing it, man. And I liked having Rock on. I remember him on Saturday mornings. Used to love calling his show when he was on. So I do listen to the Rock Stops Here podcast. Some good interviews too. So it was good to have some old school guys on there earlier.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue to have those type of guests on here. We're going to keep it old school. We're also going to keep it new school. We're going to have as many guests as we can on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. As always, Craig, thanks a lot for the YouTube chats there. You participated in that. Really appreciate it. And definitely we'll see you on Wednesday night, my friend. Okay?
All right. Take care, Pete.
All right. Let me give you the Ric Flair right there. There we go. Let's go out to Alex. Alex, welcome to the evolution. Getting ready to tell me you told me so. Go for it, my friend. Welcome.
No, I didn't tell you anything, man. I just said that I expect some sort of a rebuild, but no. Yeah, I didn't see him going to the Saints, but you know what? I'm not surprised. It's well deserved. He got paid.
Can I tell you about how much the contract is? This is going to make you sick, Bucs fans and fans out there of the Bucs. We're doing a $24.9 million arrangement. The signing bonus is 28.5. The base salary, how much the base salary is? Over, under $5 million.
Over.
Under. 1.5 million fully guaranteed for 2023. Now, of course, it goes up in 2024 with 30 million fully guaranteed, and then 2025, which more than likely he's not going to see, which is going to be 40 million. And then 2026, 50 million guaranteed. So it's a 4-year, $150 million deal. But technically, with all together, there's a couple of void years where he's not going to see. But to this year, the base salary, whatever he was telling me, oh, he's going to be $40 million this year. No, he's not. He's going to be $1.5 million.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying now.
But again,
he just wasn't
right.
Maybe he just wasn't in the wheelhouse of what they want in Tampa. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, I told you at the end of the season, I expect a full rebuild, and I think that's what they're going to do. I mean, you're looking at guys like Fournette got cut, and, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Devin White gets cut. Some big names are getting cut. I'm expecting the full rebuild, but what happens next for the Bucs? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be at that quarterback position. I'm going to assume they're going to stay in house with Kyle Trask. You're going to have to sign some sort of a backup with them. I'm not sure if Blaine Gabbert's coming back, but not sure if he's a free agent or not. Don't really know about about that.
He's a free agent, and he was hanging out with Tom Brady the other night with Ryan Griffin. So you got one quarterback on the roster.
You got them rumors coming back up today. I don't expect them to. If Bucs fans, if you're thinking he's coming back to Tampa, no. I mean, they wouldn't. If Tom Brady was going to come back, they wouldn't have started to dump, almost a quarter of the roster. But you know what? Like I said, if you're a Bucs fan and you're looking at, I've said about the rebuild, I'm not, because at the end of the day, we got a Super Bowl out of it. It was a great couple years, but we got the division 2 times. It was fun. It was a great ride. I went to only my second Bucs game last year. Had a blast. I've been a Bucs fan all my life. Only been to 2 games. I know it's crazy.
That's all right, man. I mean, you're still a Bucs fan. You're still a Bucs fan at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to.
Hey, but I mean, all things aside, I'm not expecting to win the division next year. I mean, that's personal opinion.
Sure.
I mean, but then again, I've been proven wrong. But with Derek Carr going to the Saints, and you still got that somewhat decent roster, and then you got, who knows what the Falcons and the Panthers are going to pull out of their sleeve. And I mean, we don't know. I really don't know. But it was fun, man. It was fun. I don't know what's going to be next in line for a quarterback position, but I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I think they're going to stay in house and stay cheap. They're gonna let it die. You need to let that cap die, and that's what they're going to do this year. They're going to take the hit at once, get it over with, and start to rebuild next year. this year is going to suck, Bucks fans. In my opinion, wouldn't be surprised if we won 5, 6. I would say one thing though. If you're a Bucks fan,
you want to win about 3 games this year, 3 to 5 games.
You're looking at the schedule. You're looking at the
yeah.
schedule, and you're thinking, it's really not that bad of a schedule. It's really not. I mean, this year was a rough schedule compared to this year. It's pretty rough. But you know what? I told you in the beginning, and I told Harry Greek several times. I really hope Kyle Trask comes out and just balls the heck
I hope he
out,
does
man.
too. I really do.
I hope he proves a lot of people
again,
wrong.
this is not personal. I'm just saying I have my doubts. I've seen young quarterbacks before. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen with him.
But guess what?
Right.
But guess what?
Right.
But guess what?
Mm-hmm. There's always that chance.
What happened to Tom Brady?
That's it. You're exactly
when he became
right.
the what draft pick and came out and look at him with the Hall of Fame. Nobody will ever touch career.
You're completely correct about that, and he could do it. And that's the good thing about it. Like if he comes out this year and the Bucs somehow win this division or are respectable, your 7-8 win team, then Jason Light once again looks like a genius, and then you have your young quarterback to build around. You believe. If you don't, then some heads are going to roll, and then also you're going to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year.
I still think though Todd Bowles will still be in the hot seat regardless of what happens. Regardless of what happens, who's your quarterback, who's your roster, you're still under the hot seat, man.
Sure.
And if he fails, I think he's going to be out. I wouldn't be surprised. We all know if you're a Bucs fan, it's an every other year head coach. Depending on the stats. I would love to see like Arians come back and maybe run a little something back.
Right.
But
it's not going to happen, man. They turned the page. All
Hey,
right.
but
yes. Alex.
Putting that aside for a second, I want to go off Bucs football and say, listen, I've been a lifelong Rays fan for a very, 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 very long time. And to hear about a passing of one of the best radio talk show in all of MLB sports, it breaks my heart. So just wanted to take a little moment to say I'm praying for his family, and tough loss. If you're in the Rays community, I know a lot of people talk about Bucks mostly, but we never get a chance to talk about the Rays. But it's a tough loss.
We will, my friend.
Tough loss.
Yes, it is a tough loss.
I just wanted to take a little moment and say, if you're a Rays fan, the Rays family, it lost a great guy this week. It's so disappointing.
It is. It's definitely disappointing. Give me your favorite memory of Dave Wool's call in the Rays games. Give me a favorite game or a favorite.
2002. It would have been what? 2000.
Was it 2011?
It was the whole. It was. I don't remember.
Was it 162? Was it 162?
It was 162.
Okay.
I would say I don't remember. I would say 2017, 2018 was when Carlos Pena hit that jack it was way before then. It hit by like 2015. Carlos Pena hit that jack and the mood in his voice set me, because I was in the car because I was driving. I missed that game. No, actually, I'll tell you what I did. I went to that game, and it was right before I started getting to Rays baseball. I could get like deep into Rays baseball and actually like Rays baseball.
Right.
But I remember sitting in the car and the excitement in his voice when Pena hit that walk-off home run sometime in 2017, I think it was. No, way before then, like 15, I think it was.
Yeah.
I will never forget the excitement in his voice. But long story short, just a great guy. If you're, like I said, if you're in the Rays community and you love baseball and you love this Rays team, it's so heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking, especially like you guys. I mean, you guys are commentaries yourself. I mean, you guys can somewhat relate to that. It's so unfortunate and so heartbreaking. And what's crazy about that is no one saw it coming. He was just at a spring training game the day before, completely normal. You would have never known.
58 years old. Yep.
You would have never known. He was just at the game the day before.
Well, brother, I appreciate you calling the show as always.
But anyway, listen, I
appreciate
love you
the
guys,
support.
and I love you guys, and I appreciate what you guys do, and I appreciate being part of the community. And like I always say, just keep up the good work.
Hey, man, no problem. Thanks a lot for the support as always. Let me go ahead and give you the macho man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Curtis.
See you later, pal.
Yes, thank you very much, Alex. Let's go out to Curtis. Curtis, go ahead. Using your second call, what do you have to say, my friend?
Well, I was touching back on what you were saying about, Brady basically screwed this team. I mean, listen, I understand that, but it's no different. It's no different than what Gruden did when he left. I mean, it's the same story. You win a Super Bowl, and then the next following years, you got veterans with expiring contracts that you got get rid of. I mean, nobody saw Sapp and Lynch leaving this team.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it happening, but you know what?
No.
The Bucks felt like he was not worth what he was trying to ask for. He went to the Raiders, got the money, and then he basically retired. Does he retire as a Buck? No. John Lynch was shocking to me. I mean, it was an injury situation. They had a younger player at the time. I'm trying to think of who it was. That they
whoever it was, they didn't pan out.
They didn't pan out. So they were never the John Lynch, right?
It wasn't the greatness of Savvy Piscatelli, was it?
Oh, well, he tried to move him in there. John Howe was in that conversation. Who else? The guy that kept on hurting his forearm at the time, and they moved him to linebacker.
Jermaine Phillips.
Was that the guy that they replaced him with?
Jermaine Phillips.
There you go.
It was Jermaine Phillips,
yep.
Absolutely, number 20, number 23.
Out of Georgia, yep.
And then, but like I said, it's the same thing. I mean, you win a Super Bowl. What happens when you win a Super Bowl? Either everybody's going to get paid or everybody's going to eventually get cut.
That's it. I mean, you have somewhat of a mass exodus, if you will. You have players going into free agency. You have an MVP that is a Super Bowl MVP. Most likely he's a free agent. He's going to get paid that big time money. He's going to go for that big time money. So, the Bucks at the time, they had all this money locked in. They went into it. Same thing that happened in 2002. You're exactly right. But I think the cap is a lot better situation than it was back then.
And, what people are not understanding is, this year is going to be terrible, but you got to look at next year. Mike Evans needs to get paid.
Yep.
Mike Evans is probably one of the most underpaid wide receivers in the NFL right now.
I agree.
He's making $15-16 million.
Yep.
You got guys like Christian Kirk in Jacksonville making $18-19 million a year.
Stealing money from Jacksonville, stealing it.
Exactly.
Mike Evans definitely deserves it. 9 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Most consistent Tampa Bay Buccaneer in their history, absolutely deserves to get paid. He's coming up as a free agent, so hopefully he can stay a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Leonard Fournette, you want to walk? Good riddance.
Did you have a problem with that? Because for me, that was kind of a red flag. A lot of people said, "Go ahead."
Pete, he didn't want to be here. The only reason he even came here is because Tom Brady was here.
Right.
That's the only reason he even came here.
But isn't that a foreshadowing of things to come, Curtis, where basically he's telling you, look, I don't want to be a part of a rebuild, so everybody should get ready for it? Because all we've heard this offseason, and I've kind of tried to say, all right, they're kind of retooling. All right, they still think they can win a division. And now you have Leonard Fournette coming out telling Rick Stroud that I asked for my release because I didn't want to go through a rebuild. To me, that's kind of a red flag. Like, maybe this is a rebuild.
Let me answer your question by asking you this question.
Sure.
Are you a basketball fan?
Absolutely. Love basketball.
Okay.
Don't talk about it enough on this show.
The biggest difference between the superstars and the legends from the 80s and the 90s and now is you have to win a ring in today's world to be considered a great player. Those players in the 80s and 90s, they were great without winning a ring because guess what? There were so many dominant teams out there, the Bulls, the Pistons, the Lakers, the Celtics. Everybody couldn't win a ring.
Sure.
Everybody couldn't win a ring, but you still got great players out there like Karl Malone and Patrick Ewing. These guys don't have rings. But nowadays, these guys feel like if we don't win a ring, then I'm not a great player. I mean, who was the guy for Kansas City that won it? Melvin Gordon. What the hell did Melvin Gordon do?
He did about as much as LaShawn McCoy did when he was with the Chiefs and the Bucks.
Exactly. Didn't LaShawn McCoy play for us when he won a ring in Tampa?
He did. He didn't play much.
Thank you. That's my point.
Right.
That's my point right there.
Right.
So it's like, these guys feel like if they don't win a ring nowadays, they're not.
It's an incomplete career. I mean, it's the same thing. You judge
exactly.
You judge everything on championships at the end of the day. Is it fair? Maybe not.
No,
maybe not so much. It's not fair, but you always have the GOAT argument for me, and it always go by the wayside because Jordan was 6-0 and has 6 NBA championships. I mean, that's how it goes.
The problem is, and the whole LeBron Jordan comparison is, Listen, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to there's not enough time in the world to do this comparison, but my whole thing about this is when Jordan was winning championships, there was no championship room for anybody else.
That's it.
That's the only thing I'm going to say.
That's it.
You know, in LeBron's era, I mean,
who was Jordan's equal when Jordan was in the league? Who was
nobody.
it? Nobody.
And see, I'm gonna quote Stephen A. Smith on the other day, and then I'm gonna go back to the Bucks. LeBron James is universally respected.
Mm.
Jordan was feared.
Absolutely, because he was a killer.
You did not make that man upset.
No,
nope. You did whatever you could for him not to turn it on.
That's it.
Once he turned it on, he did not know how to turn it off.
And the Magic made that mistake because that year he came back, that half year, he wasn't the same Michael Jordan. So what happened? Nope. He loses to the Magic and Shaq and Nick Anderson. And, of course, the Magic go on to lose to Hakeem Olajuwon and the Houston.
Horace Grant was talking shit.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
Right. And then what happens the next year? He gets his body stronger. You go on and get Dennis Rodman, and you win 72 games for the record that year?
72 and 10.
Yep. 72 and 10, one of the greatest NBA teams of all time. And the Magic that year won 60 games and got absolutely crushed in that playoff. Crushed.
I think the Bulls swept them.
They did sweep them. They did.
But going back to the Bucks, man, this is I want my Bucks fans to understand. And Pete, you understand. This isn't the first. Dude, history isn't doing anything but repeating itself.
That's it. I mean, and I hope what I hope for is I hope Todd Bowles is not on the hot seat. Okay, they give him a chance. He has his own staff.
That was not Todd Bowles.
Right.
That was not Todd Bowles' team.
Right.
That was Bruce Arians and Tom Brady's team. That's who team that was.
Right. But that's what you hear, that Todd Bowles is going to be on the hot seat again. You're going to be changing coaches, and I don't like changing coaches and changing this and changing that, but it looks like, if they don't win this year, you're going to be changing something.
The best thing we can do is try to shore up that defense as much as possible.
Yep.
If Devin White wants to leave, trade him. I need at least a second-round pick for him.
No way. I'm not taking a second-round pick for Devin White. He was a 5th overall player. You're definitely getting a first-round pick. Forget it.
But here's the thing. You know what the problem's going to be?
What's the problem?
Inconsistency. That's what everybody.
Well, I mean, but again, he's a 5th overall player. He's coming to the league in 2019. I'm not taking any less than a first-round pick. If not, pound sand. Get out of here. It's not going to happen. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the deal. I'm going to play it out. I'm going to see how he plays this year and then make my decision after that. And you can always franchise him. You don't necessarily have to give him that long-term contract like he wants, unless you feel like he is a piece of it.
I don't want the Glazers to Derrick Brooks, Levante David. Please don't Derrick Brooks this guy.
Yeah.
Please, Derrick Brooks. Please don't do that.
I don't think it's going to be a Derrick Brooks situation. It may be a situation where Levante David prices himself out because he does have value to a team that's trying to get to that championship window, like we talked about with Craig tonight. Maybe it's the Buffalo Bills. Maybe it is a team out there that is ready and they think that Levante David is the final piece. And can you blame them for taking more money or going to a situation? No. Is it sad? Yes.
I'm gonna tell you something, Pete. And like I said, you've been watching our Buccaneers for a long time.
Long time, my friend.
I don't care what anyone says. Levante David and Mike Evans and even Chris Godwin are some of the most humble players in the NFL.
Correct.
Right now.
Yes.
These guys don't bitch. These guys don't complain.
Yep.
They just go out there and play football. That's it.
They're good character guys.
People still don't talk about Godwin coming off an ACL with 100 catches and 1,000 yards.
I know. It's amazing. And again, he's a good character player, being a wide receiver, being one of the top wide receivers in the league that nobody talks about. Jason Light deserves credit for that, deserves credit for Mike Evans, deserves credit for these high character guys that come in and do their business and are pros. That's what you have here with the Bucs.
He needs, like he said, you need to be very careful in free agency.
Yeah.
Go out there and get some high character guys. Value high character guys.
Right.
Have a good solid draft and see what we got. And as long as Kyle Trask, if we can run the ball and Kyle Trask doesn't turn the ball over, we should be okay.
Good stuff, my friend. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Appreciate you as always, Curtis, using that second call. All right, my friend?
All right, brother.
All right, good stuff there from Curtis. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I know I've been neglecting the text messages. We'll get out to these comments, and then we'll continue on here. Oh, glad we cut that slow, fat running back Fournette. How about you hit the thumbs up button, Troy? Troy, again, make this quick. ECW is on. Nonsense.
This guy sucks.
Daniel, very nice, very nice. Thank you, Troy. Kurt Angle versus Goldberg tonight, ladder match. Daniel, what's up, Peter? How are you today? Doing great, buddy. How are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back out to the phone lines. Roger Shue, the tribal troll.
Acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Evolution. What do you have to say, my friend?
Okay, just real quick, the rumor mill out of Chicago, the Chicago Bears are looking at Carson Wentz as a backup to Justin Fields.
It's a good move. I mean, Carson Wentz is a player that has lots of potential. I don't know what's happened to him since the injury in 2017 when he was clearly having an MVP type of year. He hasn't been able to put it on track. 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. He failed with Indianapolis when they needed him to beat Jacksonville. He failed last year with the Commanders. Is he somebody you take a chance on as a veteran backup? Absolutely, as a backup. I would doubt that I think he's going to try to sign with a place like Tampa simply because he has an opportunity to compete for a starting job. With Chicago, he has no job to compete for a starting job.
He says he's willing and open to any role that can help a team win.
Wow. Well, okay. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
I'm not buying that. I think Carson Wentz still wants to start in this league. So now, will he get the opportunity? We'll see. He's got lots of potential. Again, the most overly used word in sports. Second overall pick. Right. All right. What else?
That's all I got, man. Raw was really good. I'm sure you'll catch the highlights.
I will try to do that, my friend.
All right, brother. Have a good rest of your night. I'll keep watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Tribal Troll, right here. As always, calling the phone lines. Let's keep on reading these comments. Daniel says, what's up, Peter? How are you doing today? How are you doing, my friend? Thanks a lot for tuning in. Troy Polamayu, Saints about to dominate this week division for years to come. Welcome to NOLA, Derek Carr, KR. Evening, guys. Evening, Peter. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
Misador says the car stalls in New Orleans. All right, so I'll give it to you.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Hi, Peter Report. Peter Report is not here, but thanks a lot, Eric, for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Roger. Save us, Greek. KR says, gotta love it with the Brady rumors. Absolutely. Eric says, hi, Blake. What's going on, Eric? Good one. Crazy news. Misador, Harry Berg, Peter H. Blake. How you guys doing today? We're doing great, man. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Flawless victory.
Let's go out to KR. Prayers for Dave's family. Good guy. Always passionate about the love of the game. Great comments.
Woo!
Absolutely, KR. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Sittin says, what's up? What's going on, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Roger. He worked for the Cubs, worked for the White Sox also. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go out to KR. Rock is the best. Absolutely, he is.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to me. What do Harry Carey and Ray Charles have in common? Neither saw the Cubs win the World Series. Laugh my. Oh, you know what? Me. That was actually a good joke. Us Bears fans want Justin Fields to succeed with the Panthers. We want Bryce Young, baby, says Troy. I guess I'll give it to you.
Woo!
Even though you're not a Bears fan at all. Roger says Justin Fields is God. I don't know about that, Roger, but okay. Here he used to dial the sports update after using his dad, Jimmy the Greek's Nico cards. Okay.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Roger Shue says, I love the sports phone. All right, good stuff. Misador, Jimmy the Greek, damn, autocorrect. I know what you meant. I love the Al Keck show. Okay. Christopher Cole says, hey, everyone, what's going on, Christopher?
Oh, yeah.
We asked that question. Good question by Pig Dog right there.
Woo!
Let's go out to Misador. Les Grobstein was one of my favorites. Good comment.
Flawless victory.
Pig Dog says Grobber was a sports Encyclopedia, good comment.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Roger says, I got in trouble calling sports phone as a kid. I got in trouble for listening to sports radio at 2 o'clock in the morning. True story. Used to listen to this man by the name of Bob Kemp from Las Vegas. Imagine that, gambling thing. And he used to kind of curse out callers and hang up on them and speak about sports and do this for hours and hours. And one night I was listening and my mom caught me and she said, you know what? You need to go to bed and worry about school. And guess what? As soon as she left, I turned back on the radio again. That's what those voices can do for you in your life when they're sports broadcasters. They can make such a difference. And that's what Dave Wills did for a lot of Rays fans, a lot of sports fans in general. Can definitely feel that. Grob was awesome. Misador. You got to love Hawk. Absolutely. Adam, Bucks should have gone after Carr. My opinion. What's up, fellas? What's going on? I like your opinion. I was on that Carr train to go after him, but you know what? The Saints did it. So now he's the starting quarterback here in the next couple of years.
Flawless victory.
Good comment, Adam. Thank you very much. Carr on the Saints already. Adam, yes, sir. I know. Eric, I think Jameis is coming back. Again, we talked about that. I know there's a lot of people that are putting it out there. I just don't see it happening. Dave says, now that Brady is gone, it's time to rebuild. This team was ready to win 2 years until Winston's run. Brady came in and was the piece that this team was missing. I think that's what he's saying. That's a good comment. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What takes Mike Evans with Tom Brady in Vegas a couple days ago? Hanging out, friends? I don't know. You could definitely look at it in more detail, but I definitely think Brady is retired. I don't believe all these rumors that are going on right now about him coming back to the NFL. I think he's done for good. Just my opinion at the end of the day. Who knows? Could be wrong. Been wrong before. I never rule anything out. That's what I've learned about sports here the last 5 years. What's your take on Phillip Rivers news? There was also some report out there that he was asking the San Francisco 49ers if he would come back. We know that Phillip Rivers retired, kind of a dead arm, so I thought that was interesting. I do not think the Bucs will be interested in him. I don't think the 49ers will even be interested in him. They're going to go with younger options or possibly a Baker Mayfield, which has been rumored. Adam says, nah, he's done. He will never have a Geno Smith comeback player of the year type of year. Laugh out loud. Roger says, got to go back in a few. Eric, wouldn't mind Jameis coming back. I think Mike Evans has to. Tom Brady UFC match a couple days ago. Yes, Eric, we talked about that. Let's see here. Eric, you're still talking about the UFC. Wonder, does Mike Evans have anything to do with the UFC fight with Tom Brady? Okay. Answered that question already. Eric, thanks a lot for the comments. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Javon says, I'm not falling for it. Jeff Darlington says that Brady wasn't going to retire. The only place he would have came back to is Tampa. If he retired, stay retired as a Bucs fan. I'm not retooling mode. Rather, Kyle Trask or not. I moved on. I hope everybody has moved on also.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Good comment. Dave says, I think if Brady comes back, he's going to be a running joke about retiring. Absolutely. That's why I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't rule it out, especially with a team like Miami, which we knew a couple years ago there was some type of flirtation. There's also talent down there with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So they have something going on. And then also with them being non-committal when it comes to Tua as their future quarterback and the medical situation. So meant to say retooling mode. Absolutely, Eric. Like Brett Favre all over again. You don't want to be that. Seems like a lot of Bucs fans are on the Richardson bandwagon, but they fail to remember he sat behind Trask. And even he had some great things to say about Kyle Trask. We'll get to those in a moment. In fact, let me find those comments of what he had to say. Basically, in so many words, he said that Kyle Trask is a legend to him. I'm trying to look for it right now. I'm just paraphrasing it. This is what he was asked, and the teams are going to find out about how good Kyle Trask can be. What about Jameis return to Tampa? No. Trask mania running wild, brother. Okay. Javon says Leftwich was the reason we were predictable. Fair point. think we're drafting a quarterback. Rock Riley in the news about Jameis Winston or Baker Mayfield. No news yet. Dave says, we all know Texans are going to draft a quarterback. Trade for Mills. The guy is good if Trask isn't the answer. Harry has said that. Good comment. Let's see. Eric, don't mind. Give Jameis a second chance. Okay, Eric, you can call Trask a pocket passer, but he moves better than Brady. I think everybody basically at this juncture moves better than Brady.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Christopher Cole says we're going to have an interesting year. Eric, yep. Eric again. My gut feeling, Jameis Winston coming back. I think that's just gas, my friend. Carr owns the NFC South, says Roger Shue.
This guy sucks.
Let's go out to Christopher. It's either going to be a great year or a dumpster fire. Dave says, trade White. He's good, but not great. He's good when David has his back. Okay. Troy, read the comments, bro. Give to YouTube chats, bro.
This guy sucks.
Call in, bro.
How about new?
Do something productive, bro.
Shut up!
Do something else besides troll, bro.
That's good enough to suck right there!
There you go. How about that? How are those comments? You like those? Don't tell hosts how to do the show. Roger again. Super chats are open. Help out Pete. Absolutely. Troy says, oh my God, they're still talking. What did you want? We want to listen to your comments all night long. We want to listen to your nonsense. That's what we want to listen to, Troy. We want to listen to you say the same damn thing over and over again, how Leonard Fournette is fat and he got cut and you're happy about it. We want to listen to you talk about how Brady is old. We want to listen to you troll everything about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's what we want to listen to because that is going to drive the viewership of this show, right? Right? Wrong.
That's good enough to suck right there.
Leave Worfs at right tackle and draft Broderick Jones at 19 to left tackle, says Devon. Good comment.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Eric. Rock Riley, any buzz at Jameis coming back? All right, Eric, I got it. Draft edge rusher Nolan Smith if he's there. He had a great combine. Of course, 4-5 or something ridiculous like that. Amazing combine in itself. What's the tape look like? Is he going to be there at 19? Are other teams going to jump on him? Usually when guys have a great combine, especially the 40 time, and they see the tape, if the tape matches the combine, more than likely they're not going to be on the board. Is he a need for the Bucs? Absolutely he is. Because you don't know if Shaq Barrett's going to be able to come back 100%, and you're not sure about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. So that could be definitely one of those players that if he's there at 19, you take him. He most likely won't be. We'll see. Christopher Cole, don't think he's there at 19. Exactly. Dave says, David is better than Urlacher Harry. Those are fighting words in Harry's household. Hey there, high school mate Peter H. Blake. So proud of you doing what you always have done. Best representing the Ridgewood Rams. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate you. I can't believe you remember all the way back, but that means a lot for you watching this show and absolutely always doing what I love here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and the Hub. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, of course, proud graduate of the Ridgewood Rams there in 1997, which, by the way, that high school doesn't even exist anymore. They took it out of here. Thanks to Craig for the YouTube chat. See, there you go, Troy. If you want us to read your comments when you want them read, give to the calls there. YouTube chats, of course, Facebook stars are open. Tim says Levante David has stated that he wants to play his whole career in Tampa. Why wouldn't he take a team-friendly deal? I don't know. Maybe there is reasons where he thinks a team is in more of a contention at this point to win a championship. Maybe there's more money at the end of the day. I don't know. It's great to say that, but you also have to be realistic about this, Tim, going back to that comment to say, you know what, David most likely will have an opportunity to go somewhere, make more money and win a championship or stay with the Bucs. It's all about the business of football. And that's the downside of it. You know, the business of sports, the business of football, it's a business at the end of the day. So we'll see how it plays out. Couple weeks away from free agency starting out. So good stuff, Tim. Thanks a lot for the comment.
Oh, yeah.
Eric said, should Dave Richardson goes top 5? Too many people have fallen in love with the underwear workout. Agree with you, Dave.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Christopher Cole says AR-15 might go in the top 10 or fall out of the first round. I don't think he falls out of the first round, especially with that performance, but good comment.
Boom shakalaka!
Let's go on to Tim. Gerald McCoy is no for the Ring of Honor. Okay.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Let's go on to Eric. I wonder if Jameis Winston will win a starting job. I think he's going to be a backup at this point. Eric, oh my gosh, he talks too much. Oh my God, you don't talk enough.
This guy sucks.
Let's go on to Kenny. Enjoy your Rock. Thank you very much, Kenny. Appreciate the comments.
Yeah.
Dave says, love Rock. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate it. Just going to say, Gator fan Richardson wasn't good at Florida. Watch all the games, not just YouTube highlight reels. Agree. He's got all the characteristics, all the tools to be a top 10 quarterback, but he's very inconsistent. He's missed throws. I've heard it. I've seen it myself. I saw him play at USF. I wasn't impressed, but I can understand where there are general managers out there, there are offensive coordinators, there are quarterback coaches saying, you know what, maybe we could take this kid and mold him into something special because, again, he's got all the tools that a lot of general managers and owners want in an NFL quarterback these days. Agreed, says Eric. Who are the Bucs franchising tagging? It doesn't look like they're franchise tagging anybody at this point. Kenny says, watching you guys, seeing your growth and interview skills in the last year or so is inspirational for us, other radio show guys. Hashtag Harry the Greek. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. We appreciate the growth. We appreciate that we're inspiration. We hope that we're inspiration. We hope that we inspire you to come back and call the show and also want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and other NFL teams when you come on here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Roger says, thank you for the super chat. Roger again, Trask is Jesus's favorite quarterback.
This guy sucks.
Enough with the religious stuff, okay? Can we not go with that? Based on his history, I think Trask Force will be a pleasant surprise when he's the full-time quarterback. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Trask Force. That is the new nickname here on the Evolution. Yes, I get it. Taking Jameis Winston over Leftwich. Troy says Mike Glennon ain't Napoleon Dynamite. He is Kalu. That's actually a pretty good comment.
How about them Bucks, baby?
I don't know. Roger says Leftwich is working at Publix. Dave says, I've seen fans against letting a second-round quarterback get a chance more than most Bucs fans. I've seen fans against letting a second-round quarterback get a chance more than most Bucs fans are about Trask. Okay, that's a fair point, I guess. Tim says, we absolutely did not have a top-rated offense last year. Agree with that. Eric says, Bucs fan want to win now. Troy says, not even the XFL wants Leftwich. See, I mean, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. You are that guy. You talk about Fournette and Byron Leftwich, and they're no longer a part of this team. Like, move on to something else. Get some new material, bro. Seriously. It's running old here. Just saw the Bears looking at Wentz as a Fields backup. R.I.P. Eric Bieniemy's career.
This guy sucks.
Sit down, Roger. Let the guest call the show. You just wanted the guest not to talk. Now you're telling guests or you're telling callers not to call up. What do you want at this point?
Shut up!
Let's talk about the World Baseball Classic. Laugh out loud. Dave says 2 teams in our division don't have Super Bowls, Carolina and Atlanta. Good point.
Oh, yeah.
And those may be the 2 teams that go after quarterbacks in this offseason, because we've heard the last couple of days, Aaron Rodgers possibly going to the Carolina Panthers. What about that? Derek Carr goes to the Saints, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Carolina Panthers, and Lamar Jackson goes to the Atlanta Falcons. What kind of division would you have then? You would go from the worst division in all of NFL football to the best easily with the quarterbacks, and the Bucs would have Kyle Trask and hopefully a defense that would be able to stop the arms race that possibly could be happening in this NFC South. Absolutely good comment. Got to trust Light in the front office. Agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Maybe Carr didn't want to come to Tampa. Certainly a possibility. Typical Saints move. Sign a quarterback while the division is weak and then lose in the playoffs. That's a good
flawless victory.
Christopher Cole says Lenny will play for the Saints next year. We shall see. Hey, Pete, great show with Rock. The NFC South will be fun with Carr. Lamar, Baker, and Jimmy G. Wow, throwing it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll see what that prediction is. Troy secretly wants to be a Bucs fan. I always thought he was a Bucs fan. Dave says, because obviously the Steelers don't have a show like Peters. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you know I'm right. We would be last in the division playing those quarterbacks. That's the point. Absolutely correct about that. We talked about Michael Silver in his comments about Aaron Rodgers, saying Rodgers has a high-maintenance persona and a low-commitment leadership over the last 12 months as reasons for the exhaustion. And Silver reported the Packers believe Rodgers checked out after signing a record-breaking extension last March. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Like, if you're the Carolina Panthers, if you're the Jets, who at this juncture are kind of desperate, right? Because he struck out on Carr. You were trying to wait for Rodgers. Carr turned him down, according to Pro Football Talk, because the Jets were interested in signing him. And even they came out, about a week and a half ago and said they felt like Carr could be a first-time Hall of Famer with the Jets. And the Jets are waiting on Rodgers. And guess what? Carr decided to sign with the Saints today. So now the Jets are basically put in this position where you have to go after Aaron Rodgers, or you're settling for Jimmy Garoppolo, you're settling for somebody else. You're not going to draft somebody. You got to get a veteran, right? It's either Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers. After that, I don't know. Let's go out to, you know I'm right, Carolina Panthers would be third in that division with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Pretty good team, pretty good defense. Again, we talked about Phillip Rivers. He has not been on the NFL roster since retiring after the end of the 2020 season. On Monday's episode of the Rich Eisen show, which was busy, I guess, today, Eisen recounted some of the information he heard from people around the league while at the scouting combine in Indianapolis. One piece of information involved Rivers calling both the 49ers and Dolphins about the possibility of coming out of retirement to help them at quarterback. So interesting in itself. Russ says, sign famous Jameis. I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I do not. God, we're going over 2 hours here, so probably going to get off here in a little bit. Actually, I just need a drink. Somebody needs to bring me a drink at this point. Geno Smith has signed a contract with the Seattle Seahawks after his Pro Bowl year. Looks about 3 years and $105 million. So good for Geno. And then this, of course, from Michael Silver. Also, multiple star players across the league are on the trading block. Pay attention. Titans running back Derrick Henry, Rams cornerback Jalen Ramsey, and Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, according to the report of Michael Silver at Bally Sports. According to my sources, all of them current general managers: Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry, Los Angeles Rams cornerback Jalen Ramsey, and Arizona Cardinal receiver DeAndre Hopkins are among players who have been shopped. Titans are looking looking to move on from their star running back while his stock is still high. Henry is 29 years old. Remember, Leonard Fournette is 28 years old. Lots of miles on those tires. Lots of miles on those tires for Derrick Henry. I think it's a mistake. He's still getting it done. But would there be a team out there that feels like, you know what, the final piece to that puzzle is Derrick Henry? What's Derrick Henry cost you at the end of the day? Because you see how valued or undervalued running backs are out there. How you can get somebody in the draft if you go into the middle rounds or the later rounds. Isaiah Pacheco for the Kansas City Chiefs, 7th round player, running back, highly productive for the team, a reason why they won the Super Bowl in the first place, right? So how much does King Henry cost you? It looks like he's on the block. Again, the beginning of a decline for NFL running backs. Henry is just 2 full seasons removed from being named the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2020, but his yards per carry average has dropped from 5.4 that season to 4.4 this past season. So there you go. Something to keep abreast of that situation. Let's see here. We are screwed for the next 10 years. Devin White now wants out. I'm not ready to say we're screwed for the next 10 years. I get it. There's a lot of Bucs fans out there that are uneasy. It could be a rough year, right? We don't want to admit to it, but we got to be realistic about the situation. This could be a very bad team. They are still somewhat talented. The division is still somewhat down, depending on what these other teams do. But the Bucs are not improving, if you will. They're probably getting younger, but doesn't necessarily mean they're improving. The other teams are getting younger and getting better, and also spending money on possibly big-name quarterbacks. So that's what you have to look at. So could it be a rough year this year? Yeah, it could be a rough year this year. But guess what? You're probably going to be better off for it because your cap is going to be cleared out. And then on top of it, you're going to figure out if Kyle Trask is the starting quarterback for the future. And then if he's not, we know that Jason Light can turn the page on the second-round pick. He's done it in the past. He's done it with Roberto Aguayo. He's done it with Charles Sims. He's done it with Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He's done it with plenty of second and third round players. And then you also have a prime position of going out there and getting one of the top quarterbacks in 2024. So yes, it's going to be hard to watch this year. And we may have a lot of shows where we're screaming at the camera or screaming at each other about how this team didn't execute or how they didn't score enough points or how they just didn't get it done. But at the end of the day, this team may be better off for it. I know it's hard to say that. It's hard for me to say that because the last 3 years have been amazing with Tom Brady coming to town. But that's the reality of the situation, right? Let's see here. Let me go out to those comments from Anthony Richardson. When asked at the Combine, he said he had a meeting with, of course, Todd Bowles and Jason Light. He deeply admires the projected Tom Brady replacement. That's Kyle Trask, of course. He says, Kyle is a legend, man. He's a Florida legend. Just watching him sit behind him, he taught me how important it is to wait your turn and how important it is to grind. That guy, he knew everything of the offense. He knew the blocking schemes, the receiving routes, and his sets and everything. At one point in time, he was calling plays for himself. So the Bucs can definitely expect that from him again, because he's a guy that's great mentally and has a beautiful arm, so I try to implement that in myself, but he's a great guy and they're going to get that. So there you go. That's what Anthony Richardson thinks about Kyle Trask, the possible starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2023. Again, I have my doubts. He is a big kid. I don't necessarily know he has a big arm or not, but he's never gotten an opportunity to play with the number one. So give him a shot. Give Kyle a shot, right? I mean, that's what everybody wants to do. Let's do it. That's what it looks like the Bucs are going to do at this juncture. They're going to go sign a veteran to compete with them. You heard from Rock Riley earlier where, Todd Bowles doesn't know if he's a first, he's a second, or he's a third. You're not going to know unless you put him in that game action. You're not going to know unless you give him the competition, give him every opportunity to compete for that. Let's see here. Peter, love the All-Star jersey behind you. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
My dad gave me that jersey that's actually signed by Mike Alstott. So it's definitely a great thing that we had to include here on the evolution. Henry or Fournette to the Bills. That's certainly a possibility. Good comment.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Dave, again, I'm already bracing for a rough 4 years. It's rebuilding time. I'm ready to rebuild for a dynasty. But see, I don't think it takes that long, right? I mean, you have Jason Light. We've seen Jason Light build this team before. We've seen him get him out of cap problems. They get him out of cap problems. You get a quarterback. That's one of the Caleb Williams. I love Caleb Williams. Again, there's no certainty, right? When drafting a quarterback, there's no certainty that it's going to be able to come in and win games right away. It's difficult, but he's got all the tools. He's got all the measurables. He's got the it factor. When you watch him on tape, when you watch him in game situations, he kind of reminds you of Patrick Mahomes. And man, if he can be as good as Patrick Mahomes or just as good, I mean, you got yourself a franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. And I know there's a lot of Bucs fans out there that have been waiting for that. You've been waiting for that franchise quarterback. Maybe the year is next year. But again, this year, it's Kyle Trask or it's a veteran quarterback, and we'll see how that plays out. KR says, Would the Bucs be interested in Floyd because they need a pass rusher in the worst way? Floyd who? Give me Floyd who? What Floyd? Sleepy boy Floyd who? I'm trying to think of who he's thinking of, Floyd, at this point. Give me all right, going back to Devin White. I don't know what to think. I mean, again, you post stuff on social media and IG and getting attention, and then he's saying go Bucs in 2023. All right, let's see here. I've been waiting for a franchise quarterback for 40 years. I think we all have been waiting for a franchise quarterback. I mean, and that's the thing. You know, you've been there, you've done that, you've seen this happen before. There's no guarantee, right? Vinny, in the mid-'80s, you're going to get him. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's going to turn things around. He doesn't turn things around. Was it just him? No, it was the situation you put him in, right? I mean, you had Steve Young before that. You had Trent Dilfer. Doug Williams had the most success. You trade down and get him. He's a first-round player. Then you get rid of him. He finally wins the Super Bowl. We talked about Dilfer. You had Josh Freeman there for a little bit. I mean, who else? So Mike Lennon was a young quarterback. I mean, there's so many young quarterbacks at the end of the day. You're looking for that franchise, and it always goes back to Jameis. You tank for Jameis. He had some success, but what was the problem? The turnovers. What was the problem? He could never get you to the playoffs. What was the problem? He could never win any playoff games. You want that franchise quarterback. You want the next Patrick Mahomes. You want the next Josh Allen, but they don't grow on trees. Maybe this is the year. I don't know. Leonard Floyd, money. That's what it comes down to. How much the Bucs will have money. How much will you command on the open market? $15 to $20 million for pass rushers. I don't see the Bucs doing that. I don't. Let's see here. And again, go back to Devin White. He says, next year we're going to rock out even harder. I promise you, get live 45, go Bucs. So he's looking for a big-time contract, and we'll see if he gets it. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year for the Bucs. They're going to have to prove themselves. Everybody's going to have to prove themselves. Fans are going to have to prove themselves that they're real Bucs fans. I'm not calling you out because you're tuning into the show at 11:38 at night, so you must be real Bucs fans. But it's going to be tough. Those games are going to be tough. We'll get you through them. Let me read the rest of these comments, and then we'll get out of here for the night because I'm tired. I'm parched. I need something to drink. I need to bring some water or something next time. I'm losing my freaking voice, and I got to have that vocalizer in order to do this show and do my job on the side. Let's not talk about young, dumb move. I mean, there have been a plethora of dumb moves when it comes to quarterbacks. I mean, how many Bucs fans are tired of hearing about quarterbacks that went from here to other teams and won Super Bowls? I know I'm tired of it. I know that I would like to see a young quarterback be successful with this organization. I know that I would like to see Kyle Trask be successful. Wouldn't it be nice to wake up and say, hey, we got a franchise quarterback, so we don't have to tank this year? Or, hey, we don't have to go out and get a veteran option because usually this organization is better with getting veteran options than getting young guys, right? Brad Johnson, Tom Brady come to mind. I mean, those players, Jeff Garcia there for a little bit. He had some success with Sean King, younger player, but he can never get you over the top. You went with Brad Johnson, right? It would be nice to have that. I don't know if they have that yet. I have my doubts. Am I going to give it a shot? Absolutely, I'm going to give it a shot. Will the Bucs put enough around him? Will they make this situation like we talked about with Rock and Harry tonight, where you manage the game? You depend on the run game. The onus is not on the quarterback to win. You're basically having a DLG quarterback. Don't turn over the ball. Distribute. Dave Canales talked about it in his presser. I need a point guard. Is he going to be a point guard? Is he going to distribute the ball? You're not going to need him to score. You're going to need him to make some throws, but you're not going to need him to win games. You're not going to throw the ball over 40 times a game. You got to have a good offensive line. You got to have a good running game. You got to be balanced, and your defense has to knock somebody's ass out. And they took a step back last year. This is Todd Bowles' team now. He's a defensive-minded coach. This defense has to step up. They have to play better. Can they do it in 2023? We'll see. I'm not ready to give up on it yet. and get that drink. Great show, Peter. Good night. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate
Flawless
it.
victory.
All right, so thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Mr. Rock Riley on here. Of course, David Schuster, Harry the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and The Hub. And do 3 things for me on this Monday night edition, nearly 3 hours going strong of the evolution of sports talk television. Sit back, relax. Free agency is about to start. You ready? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And fans of the Sports Web and Bucks fans out there, it's your time. See you on Wednesday night.